What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ryan McCluskey, which can only mean one thing. It is time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, it is the college football podcast Shrine Bowl preview. For the first time in years, it's just what it says on the tin. Didn't think I'd go with anything different this week. We are very much on the path to the draft now in college football world, and Ryan. The last game has been played. The 2024 season is in the books. And, to add on to what has been a very stressful week, has been a Detroit Lions fan with everything that's going on with our staff getting plucked like a turkey bird on Thanksgiving. We had to sit and watch a coach who we've given a lot of tap to over the years, sit and watch a natty as well. This has just been one of those weeks where you've just got to take your lumps, as they say.
Yep, it's been a stressful week. It's a crescendo on a season that, yeah, been very successful for a lot of reasons. Yeah, a head coach that we've personally put under a lot of scrutiny and puts himself under a lot of pressure, and the fan base says, yeah, he's triumphed, he's come out on top, and he's silenced a lot of the critics for now. But yeah, great game, great final. But yeah, the book, put it on the shelf, dust off the combine, the draft book because we're already in pre-draft season already.
Yeah, exactly. And with no Lions football now, it's like the new craze is saying it's officially official. Well, it is officially official. We are on the path to the draft now, and there is no stopping this train. So yeah, as we mentioned today, it's very simple. We've got the Shrine Bowl coming up. We've got the Senior Bowl coming up, and as always with these bowl games, we try and break down the rosters a little bit, point out some of our favorite players, guys to watch, and all that. So we're going to be putting the lens down on the Shrine Bowl this evening, and then the Senior Bowl will be coming up next week. And of course, we're going to have a little chat about the Natty as well. So yeah, as always during the evening, if you've got any questions or anything, drop them in there and we'll get round to them at a certain point of the show. I can see Brent's in the building, Mile Marker's in the building. Hope you are both doing well. I know it's not an easy week for you, Brent. Been a Wolverines fan having to watch Ohio State win a natty, but you all won one last year, so it's not really that bad. And you beat them this year, so at least you can say you are the only team to have played them this season they've not beaten because they got their own back on Oregon. So Michigan still have that streak undefeated. A streak I may add has been going since this podcast began. This is the end of our third college football season now, our third full one. You ain't never lost while we've been doing this. So there you go. You can thank us for that. He goes, I've been getting dumped on for a couple of days now. Yeah, it's been a bit rough in this scenario. Anyhow, let's get all the stuff out of the way and get on with this. So, Roar of the Lions UK Discord, if you want in on that, let us know. We'll fire you across a link. Main podcast was on Monday. Obviously, we were dissecting the Washington loss, and then the news broke on air that Ben Johnson had left for the Bears. Got so bad I had to bring out my emotional support sprout to help me on stream because I just couldn't bear with it. It was hard enough talking about that Washington game without losing a coordinator as well. And just before we've come on today, we've lost the other one because Aaron Glenn's gone to the Jets. So maybe we should stop podcasting for a while and then maybe we'll not lose anybody. But at the rate it's going, there's going to be some serious bits going around here. But yeah, go check that out. It's a lot of pain for us there. And now with us been in the off-season schedule, we'll be down to one show a week on the Mondays for the main podcast. Obviously, me and Ryan will keep going on this. So yeah, sucks, man. Don't forget about Lions Nation Unite. We're part of that Herman Moore's project to bring together the best in Lions content creators on YouTube into one forum to talk all things Lions with you, the fans. Find me on there, find a few others on there as well. It's really great stuff building that community up. Don't forget to like and sub to everything of ours as well. It really helps putting the word out there. So yeah, yeah, really helps. Yeah, he has gone mile marker. He went about an hour, about 30, 45 minutes ago. The Jets have claimed him. So, yeah, and he might be taking Mark Brunell with him as well. So we'll wait and see. And then obviously, Terrell Williams went earlier in the day to the Patriots as defensive coordinator. So we need a new D-line coach as well. Like we're playing Operation and we've removed all the bones out the body so far. We need to put them back in there and get that thing working. And don't forget we're monetized on YouTube, all that good stuff. So, if you want to help us that way, great. But first and foremost, we just like having you all in the building. So that is all the housekeeping out the way. Um, Grandizer goes, no herd. I'm assuming that's Hank for the stream. Steal my Shrine Bowl time. I'm sure he'll be around at some stage. He comes and goes as he pleases. He's a free spirit. He's bound to nobody. Is old Hank there? But good to see you, Grandizer. You can come and poke fun at us while we're, you know, making do from all Lions staff that we're losing at a rate of knots here. Right. Let's get on with the show. I think we've just gone through everything there. I'll get in Twitch as well. So if you're on Twitch and you've got anything you want to say, then just let us know. And let's say throughout the evening, if you've got any questions, just holler. Right, what shall we do first? Let's talk about the Natty. Let's get the Natty out of the way, and then we'll get on to the Shrine Bowl. So as we mentioned, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Played for the national title on Monday evening, and I was still feeling in a bit of a rotten mood. I stayed up and I watched this whole thing, and I mean, I don't know about you, Ryan. Before we talk about it, really, but this playoffs has there's not been very many competitive games in this playoffs. Now, it's the first year of the 12-team format and not, but the first four were kind of a bit flunky and floozy, and the semis didn't really get much better. This one, I mean, one team got out early and got themselves, and another got themselves in a real hole. This, apart from a little bit at the end where you wondered maybe, just maybe, this kind of fell into category a lot of the others where one team was just predominantly better than the other, and it wasn't really a contest in the end.
Yeah, this was a total non-con. By the middle of the third quarter, it was three-score game. The end score really is not a true reflection of how well one side was in control. And yeah, there was a bit of what felt like stat padding, a bit of garbage time in the end. This game really was over within three quarters. And yeah,
It
these playoffs been entertaining. Yeah, sure. Have they been competitive for the most part? Not really. I mean, you've got to look at the games. Like I said, I suppose the most competitive game of the whole thing will be the Sun Devils and Longhorns. It's the
yeah.
only one really. But even for a long time, that wasn't very competitive for the best part of a whole half. So it took a long time in the end. But yeah, yeah, it is. You don't want to see a lot of one-side score games, but even when you get the matchups right, and like I say, the committee did a good job, just feels inevitable. It's kind of out of their hands then, really.
It does, yeah. I think there's going to be big changes going into next year about how it's done. Like I say, we reckon the automatic seeding is going to go in terms of the conference winners. They'll still get in, but I think the seeding maybe needs to change and draw up some better contests a little early on. But this game was crazy. So in terms of the first half, both teams only got 3 drives. Like these were seriously long drives. So Notre Dame got the ball to start this game, and their first drive, they looked dominant. It went 18 plays for 75 yards, took nearly 10 minutes off the clock, and it was an absolute superb drive from them. It was ended by Riley Leonard. They got down to a first and goal at the one, and Riley Leonard did the work for them. But yeah, 10 minutes just absolutely putting the Buckeyes to the sword on defense. Really good opening drive for them. But then Ohio State started the first of their 3 big drives for the half. They answered right back. They had an 11 play, 75-yard drive of their own, which took up over 6 minutes on the clock, and it ended with Will Howard. It was a pass to Jeremiah Smith, and this has gone kind of a bit viral online. There's a clip of the Notre Dame cornerback who's absolutely gesturing the hell out of him, going, "The ball's going to him, the ball's going to him, the ball's going to him." Nobody comes across to help him, and he's just left on his own. He comes back on this sort of fake screen, gets the ball, and there's no one within 10 yards of him, and he just waltzes this thing home. And it's quite funny how they didn't pick him up there. But then everything fell apart for Notre Dame. After that big drive to start their next 2 drives, went 3 plays for -5 yards, three plays for 1 yard, and they had to punt on both. And sandwiched in between that was another 10-play, 76-yard drive from Ohio State for a touchdown. This time, Quinshon Judkins, like one hell of a game for the Buckeyes, ran it in from 9 yards out. And then after the second punt, when this thing's got to 14-7, Ohio State put together their third big drive. It's 12 plays, 80 yards. Does only take 4.5 minutes, but it still, still takes its time. And this time, Will Howard, he gets Quinshon Judkins in the passing game from 6 yards out, finds him out the backfield. It's a nice, easy completion for Quinshon, and all of a sudden this thing is 21-7, and they get it with 30 seconds to go in the half. Notre Dame don't have time. They have one play for 7 yards, and then they just decide to kneel this thing out. They still have some timeouts left, but they don't try and go for it. They go to lick their wounds. So yeah, down 21-7 at the half. They're really struggling after that first drive. You come out in the third quarter, and Ohio State get the ball to start the half, and immediately they punish them. They come out 5 plays, 75 yards, takes barely 2 minutes, another touchdown, and then this is kind of where you're thinking the game has gotten away from them here. Quinshon Judkins again with his third touchdown of the day as he just went absolutely crazy. This was another run in from 1 yard out, pretty much on the goal line, and you're not going to be able to stop him from there. Notre Dame then get really desperate. They go 3 plays for 8 yards, and then they attempt to trick punt. I think it was a trick punt, which is
Yeah.
absolutely terribly, executed, and this thing's just absolutely blown up, and Ohio State turn it over. On like the Notre Dame 30. Now, they're not able to capitalize on this. They do have to settle for a field goal from 46 from Jaden Fielding, but this just makes it 31-7, and you've got 7 minutes left in the third quarter, and you're thinking they're gonna have to, there's not, you're gonna really have to go for this here. Then they are able to put a good drive together after this, like for the first time since the beginning of the game. They go 10 plays, 75 yards. They start getting Jaden Greathouse involved in the passing game, and eventually it's him. He gets a 34-yard touchdown pass, and this is really good from him. He beats 3 Ohio State defenders. I think it's Caleb Downs he ends up leaving for dead right at the end because he just absolutely whiffs on a tackle to try and bring him down. But yeah, Greathouse gets in. They get the 2-point conversion. Riley Leonard finds Jeremiah Love for that to bring it back to 31-15. And then just as Ohio State look like they're going to put this one away, they go 6 plays and 54 yards. But then Emeka Egbuka fumbles on a really big completion. He gets it punched out by, I can't remember which linebacker it was, but Notre Dame
Drake
were actually
Bowen.
able to, yeah, Drake Bowen. They're
I
able
like
to,
him.
yeah, he was really good. Big punch, gets it out, managed to turn the ball over, and you're thinking, oh, they may be able to get something out of this. But then it goes even more wrong. Notre Dame put together a 12-play, 70-yard drive to get down the field. You think they're going to score again. They get stopped, and then they miss a field goal, and it's not a very long one. It doinks, and that starts right at the start of the fourth quarter, and you're thinking, yeah, this thing's done. Ohio State have to punt again very quickly. Notre Dame are able to get a second touchdown. It's a very quick drive, 6 plays, 80 yards, just over 2 minutes. And Jaden Greathouse again. It's another one from 30 yards out. They started targeting him on the deep ball, and he went to the Ohio State secondary and gave him a bit of a pound in there. And then they get the 2-point conversion as well, and I really like this. Jordan Faison had a pass to Bo Collins. They did this trick play, which almost gets blown up about 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Faison just desperately avoids a tackle, and they get it in. So it's actually down to a one-score game at this point, but Notre Dame don't get the ball back after this. Ohio State get what they need in terms of first downs. There's a big completion to, I think it's Jeremiah Smith right at the end, which gets them within the Notre Dame 20, and they kick a field goal with 20 seconds left to make it an 11-point lead, and there's no coming back for Notre Dame. And like I say, it's a crazy game this, right? Like Notre Dame started off and you're thinking, my God, 10-minute drive. You keep that Ohio State offense on the side of the field, you're done. But then whatever it was, Ohio State adjusted 3 long drives of themselves, only 3 drives for each team in the first half, just kept Notre Dame's offense cold, and they were able to build the lead in the third quarter. That touchdown right after the half felt like the backbreaker. Notre Dame were just never, they're not built to come from that far behind. And ultimately, that came true. And while it was a little exciting at the end, it did feel like it got put away really early.
Yeah, it was just they were very one-dimensional Notre Dame. Like I say, Mitchell Evans couldn't get into the game. To be fair, apart from the trick play, Jordan Faison didn't do anything. And that's the quietest I've seen him in a long time. He's one of their biggest playmakers. He was pretty much invisible. So, yeah, Jeremiah Love was stifled. Jane Greathouse against number one for the Buckeyes. That was a good matchup all day. He had him on toast multiple times. He really struggled. He committed a few penalties just to stop him. He had a really good day. That yeah, Quinton Judkins he was a monster. He was an absolute brute. I've seen a lot of comparisons to Jimmy Gibbs after this game. And fair, like 215, 5'9", isn't he? So he's very much almost an identical kind of build. Like say he's muscular, he's strong. He had a fantastic day. Will Howard, yeah, was spraying the ball around nicely. There was some big tates by Innis, Tate. Jeremiah Smith was doing really well. But on the day, it just comes down to execution. I didn't hate the play call on fourth down, and the throw is actually pretty good. It's just dropped. It hits him in the hands, whoever is going to catch it, and that is a huge turnaround downs. Like I say, at their own 40, they're very lucky to hold them to a field goal, and that, like I say, they break, like I say, with the Drake Bone punch out, struggles like they fail to make that capitalize, and then yeah, they get down to basically the goal line, and Jeter basically lines up for what should be an extra point, slams it into the post. Not even like a dunk, it just thumps it. And like I say, it felt like aggression. And it felt like after that moment there, it felt like the wind, the air had been taken out of the Notre Dame fans' lungs. Because after that, it kind of just felt like they were going through the motions, and Ohio State very much at that point realized they've pretty much got the game in the bag. So yeah, they managed the game very well. Both offensive lines, defensive lines, they weren't super disruptive. I said there weren't a lot of sacks. There wasn't a massive amount of tackles for loss. The defenses and the secondaries struggled. Like I said, I've not often seen like Watts and Christian Gray and that
Christian
struggled so heavily.
Gray had a rough one, didn't
Yeah,
he? I've not
but
seen
yeah,
him. I've not
yeah.
seen
But
him
yeah,
have a
it
game
was a
that bad.
well managed game by Ryan Day. It was well coached. Notre Dame fell that far behind. They had to take gambles. They went for risks. Nearly all of them didn't pay off in the end. And yeah, I think Notre Dame just ran out of ideas. They tried to make a comeback in the end, but yep, too little, too late, unfortunately.
Yeah, and like you said, and they just got the balance on offense right. They got the run game going. Quinshon Judkins gets going. Travion Henderson does all right as well, and that just allows Will Howard to slam it. Like he completed his first 13 passes in this game, which is a national championship record. Like he was 13 of 13 just before the half or just after the half, one or the other, when most of the damage had been done. I mean, he finished 17 of 21, 227 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I think I've seen today he's had a season completion percentage of 73%, which is also an Ohio State record. I mean, there were a lot of doubts, maybe about, not doubts, but cynicism about when he went there about whether he was the guy after all these top recruits they've had who've never got them over the line. But I mean, he's shown what he is. Just he was incredibly experienced before he got here. He's not looked phased in the big games. He's just done what he's needed to play complementary football. And most importantly, he's kept that ball safe. He very rarely turns it over. And, in a close game like this, when you're not turning the ball over, it always gives you the advantage. He's been tremendous, and his draft process now is one of the most intriguing ones because you're thinking, well, maybe is he a top tier guy now because he has done so much in his collegiate career. Now he's got a natty win. Like he's genuinely an intriguing prospect now, right? But he had a tremendous game.
Yeah, like you say, his whole season in general. He's not a big play splash guy. He's not that fancy. He's sneakily good with his legs. Like I said, there was a big like 3rd and 7 in the game where he gets a run off, like say they leave the edge, they just don't account for him. He takes off, converts, and that was one of the players that iced the game. Sneakily quick and athletic. Yeah, he's going to go down in Buckeyes as legend. He's going to be a legend now. Like I say, he's never going to have to pay for a drink again in the state in Columbus if he ever does return. And yeah, they're used to having these big, high for profile, flashy names. They went out and they got a fairly safe pair of hands out the portal that ran, like, say, Chris Klein's old scheme that was also pretty well balanced pass run. So yeah, they went with a very experienced safe option, and they've deep reamed the rewards from it. A guy that turns the ball over very little. He's I don't like the word game manager, but he's a very good game manager. And a game manager can win you a national title when Quinchon Judkins and Trayvon Henderson finally started to click. So yeah, I agree that he's an interesting, complex pro comp, really. He's done his stock the world of good. I suppose you strike while the iron's hot. He's got a few days to make a decision. I, I suppose not left you can do. You just gotta declare. There'd
And
be
it's
no
like,
real point in coming back because you probably just hurt your stock.
no, and like again, you're hyper efficient, you're
Like you say, he's one of the
deceptively
older
good.
guys, but he's very experienced. He's got two offensive schemes on his books now. He's got a national title. Like I say, he's. I see all this hype about Jackson Dart, but Will Howard's he's accumulated way more than Jackson Dart ever has, and
Oh
he's done it
yeah.
probably a lot less turnovers and probably a lot more big game experience under his belt. So if Jackson's such a high prospect, then I suppose what Will probably has a very high floor.
I mean, he's got it right. He's hyper efficient. He's deceptively good with his legs. I mean, sometimes the guys who are best with their legs are the ones who don't use them all the time. Because, like you said, people forget. They don't realize, like, oh man, this actually guy can move. And they
Yeah.
say Notre Dame struggled with it.
I think
But
someone's definitely gonna day two, round three, round four, something like that. Maybe just as a project
yeah,
QB, it wouldn't hurt.
no. So if you got an extra pick in there, a comp pick or something, I could
Yeah.
absolutely see
And if
something
I say
like
he
that
don't make on a
happening.
roster, like the guy could probably absolutely destroy the UFL.
Oh God, yeah,
He'd
absolutely.
be a very high prospect there. If I'm one of them teams now, I probably want to try get his rights and probably
Yeah,
sign
just
him out
in
there
case.
just in case he's not picked up.
Yeah.
Like say, he'd be a very good player there.
And he'd be soon be back in the NFL after that. He'd probably work his way back through. You mentioned Quinshon as well. This felt like for me, I don't feel like I've seen the old Miss Quinshon Junkins a lot this year, but that game that felt like the old Quinshon Junkins, the guy who can just make stuff happen on his own. Like some of the runs he pulled off and just the way he was fighting, like that was him at his very best as well. And like you say, it's not unfair to say he's Jahmyr Gibbs-esque. This is what all the hype was about when he was at Ole Miss, right? Like he is one of the best running backs in the country, and again, we saw why on the biggest stage of them all, he took the spotlight.
Yeah, it's weird because you look at the numbers and the season he's had. He's had 80 less carries in both, like I say, and he's still put up nearly identical numbers. And his longest run has grown by 20 yards. So that the eye test would tell you this is not the same old Rebels miss, but the numbers tell you he's better than he ever was. He's become way more explosive and far more efficient on a less number of carries. And this, for me, is a vastly deep running back. It starts off pretty low, like say you probably get just John T in the first round, but between like rounds two, four, five, there'll be a myriad of backs. I mean, a lot of people think Quinchon Judkins, like I say, could be the guy that someone takes a swing at, a shock, let's say between 25 and like 35. Someone will reach for him. Someone's like say, someone said we took Gibbs too high. Someone will say Judkins, wow, you took that guy too high. And then 2 years later, they're probably like, you were wrong. Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, no, that,
the
that worked
laugh.
out well. Yeah, I can see Gibbs being taken very highly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, I
I'm with
like
you.
Judkins. If we didn't have him, if we didn't have Gibbs now, I'd be swinging the fence for him.
Oh, absolutely. Like he went to Ohio State. I loved him before he went to Ohio State. Like, damn it, he could have gone anywhere else, but you got to give him his flowers. He's a damn good running back. Obviously
Yeah,
Jeremiah Smith popped off as well in this, but like they've used their depth in these playoffs. They've not just relied on him. Like you say, Carnell
yeah.
Tate.
Carnell Tate's had a good
Like
time.
I don't know that much about him to be fair. I keep getting him mixed up with Tate Carnell. Was it Tate Carnell who was the the weird story
Yeah,
in the
Tate Martell, yeah.
oh, Tate Martell. I
Yeah.
keep getting him confused with that, and I'm like, no, this is a completely different guy. But he's make clutch catches. They were just so good and they were so efficient and they just rendered. And they say that Notre Dame secondary is good, and they just treated it with absolute disdain. Obviously, and you said both D lines didn't get a ton of pressure on the day. There were two sacks for Notre Dame, but one of them, I mean, it was Joshua Burnham, I think, the end, who got both of them. He had a really good day. Then on the Ohio State side, they got three. Tuimoloau had a great game. Sonny Styles, their outside
Oh, I love
linebacker
Sonny
hybrid.
Styles.
Sonny
He's a
Styles
freak.
is, isn't he? And like the way he came in for his sack,
Six
he
four,
came on
two
that.
25 safety. Like I say, he's expected to declare, but he needs to make a decision. He's going to be a totally different player to every different scheme.
And he came on that like delayed blitz, and like he was
Yep.
there. Like
He's
he hit
very
that
Kyle
gap.
Hamilton-esque.
He hit that gap so quick when they got all the Notre Dame O linemen like blocked up. He was gone, and Riley Leonard didn't know what had hit him. Like he was there before he could even move. It was freakish to see how quick he moved on there. But it wasn't like Sawyer had a quiet day. Like
By his own
Tuamolo
standards, yeah.
outside of
He's
the
the one that
sack, he had a
almost blew
quiet
up
one.
the 2-point conversion.
He did.
If he makes that big play there, then yeah, everyone's will be raving about him.
Yeah, but overall, I think they did more than enough on the day. And for Notre Dame, like their two lead running backs, Jeremiah Love had 4 carries for 3 yards. I mean, that's not that you're gonna lose. Notre Dame are gonna lose every game where Jeremiah Love rushes for 3 yards.
Criminal.
They're not
That's
built.
criminal usage, even if it's not going well, to just give him 4 carries.
Yeah, like and even Jadarian Price, the second he was 3 carries for about 13 yards or something
Yeah.
like that. They combined for 16 rushing yards between the
I
pair
know
of
they
them,
fell
but.
behind early, but they abandoned the run very quickly.
Too early. Yeah,
To
you got to
say they
throw the
only had great
ball.
house, because let's say Mitchell Evans, like saying Faison, they could barely find room in a post box. They
Yeah,
just couldn't get anything going.
yeah. And I mean, you know what? Riley Leonard did what he could. 22 of 31, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, he did what he could on the day. Obviously, they look like they may have found a receiver in Jaden Greathouse. Like, if you're looking for great performances there, his touchdown, his first one, I think it was, when he took on 3 guys, rinsed them all. They may have something there going for because they've struggled at receiver in recent years, but
Yeah.
he's broken out towards the end of the year.
Yeah. Like you say, he'll be one to watch in the 2026 draft cycle, no doubt. He's got a big, like 6'2", 6'3" frame. He's got a good radius. Like you say, he's got that ability in open space to make guys miss. The spin move he puts when Caleb Downs is crashing downhill
That
on the
was
first
the
touchdown
one.
absolutely dusts him. It's quite hilarious. Like I say, yeah. But he's had an absolute monster year, as Jane. And a lot of people before the season that weren't fighting Irish fans probably weren't talking about him. But now you look into him next season, depending on what the scenario is at quarterback, you're looking at him as going to be one of the premier receivers in the nation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's the deep threat downfield. So for
So what
Notre
does Riley
Dame,
Leonard do now, do we think?
I mean, he's got to be out of is he got to be out of eligibility now? Surely he was at Duke for 3 years. What's he? How he's only had a year there. He might have a year left. I mean, I don't know. In this cycle, I don't know. I mean, you've watched him a little bit more. I don't think he's got draft stock at the minute. I think he's very good as a runner.
Yeah,
Like,
I like him as a dual threat running
yeah,
quarterback. This is, like I say, he's had an absolute monster year running the ball.
for me, you sell him as like that gadget QB you can bring in and run some plays with him, but he can also, if you need him to, come in and be
Yeah.
a starter if you
Played
want
for,
to.
yeah, he's had 4 seasons. He's a senior, so I imagine he can
He
return.
can be a super senior.
I'd
Well,
imagine it's probably in his best interest to return because the
yeah.
2026 class looks weak.
And Notre Dame needs some consistency at the position. They like recently they've just
Yeah,
bringing in
they
transfer
lost Sam
quarterbacks every
Hartman.
year.
They got Leonard. Like I say, who was before Sam Hartman?
That was the year where they had the three at once. They had the lacrosse player. Oh God, what are they called? Oh, I can't remember their names now. Tyler Buchner was one of them, and
Yeah,
then they had two other guys. They had the lacrosse player who went to Bama or something like. In fact, Tyler Buchner went to Bama.
yeah.
They've not had a solidified quarterback since Ian Book. And Ian Book, I think, wasn't even there when we started this podcast 4 years ago. Like he's been in the league a few years now, so they need some consistency at
Drew
quarterback.
Pine,
Drew
that was
Pine,
their
that's
cost
it.
player.
Yeah, you can't keep just changing your quarterback every year and expecting success. Ohio State, for all they've done, this is the first time they've brought in a transfer in some time to come in and start for them, and that was only because Kyle McCord left. So, um, yeah, he needs to stay there, I think. I mean, for Notre Dame, this is still a bang good year for Notre Dame, right? Like getting to the Natty, this is still a big achievement for them. Obviously, now they've got to replicate it and go back there, but they can still hold their heads high. And Ohio State, as Brent rightly says, this gives Ryan Day all the job security in the world, so Michigan continue to beat him in the game for a few years before, he gets fired. He's not going to get fired now. He can stay there as long as he wants now. He's got a natty. But they'll look forward to that. But for Notre Dame, yeah, it's still a positive year, right? Even though you've kind of had your ass kicked a little bit, they've got a lot to build on going forward now. They've got quite a few young players there. You'd expect them to be back next year, in the mix.
Oh yeah, easily. Like say losing to a team that's got an NIL value of what, 20.5 million, something like that.
Most
No shame.
expensive. Yeah,
Like say Marcus Freeman has taken strides as a head coach. It started rocky when he first made the jump up. A lot of them, like I say, liked the hire, but he looked a bit out of his depth maybe
yeah.
at the start. But I'd say he's definitely improved. He's built a great core about him. Unfortunately, that's going to lose it because I think the Bengals want the DC, don't they, Al Golden?
I'm pretty
He's
sure they've
primed to
got it.
lose
They've
him.
got they've got him. He's
Yeah, so
gone.
that's a big loss for them. So they're going to have to work on finding some replacement. But yeah, the nucleus is there. Like I say, they've got a lot of players, a lot of talent. They're going to have to replace some positions like the linebackers. Like say, if you're losing Jack Kaiser, like say you're losing 70 games worth of experience there, but they're going to
Mitchell
have to replace
Evans, you're
them.
losing.
Yeah,
So
Benjamin. Like I say, will probably
Morrison,
go,
the
yeah.
quarter, the
So there'll be
cornerback
guys
he's in
out
the
there that
draft.
are going to be primed to lose in the next year or two. But next year, you pencil them in straight away as they're making the playoffs. They will
Oh
be
yeah.
back, no doubt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got to figure that the
Yeah.
future's
They'll get
bright for
back
them.
Riley Mills, hopefully next year after the season-ending injury.
Yeah, you would hope so there. And I didn't actually know he was back, but he came back 2 games ago. They've got the left tackle back, Jagusa. Charles Jagusa was playing in this. He was meant to be the starter all year, and he injured himself right at the beginning of the season. I didn't actually know he'd come back for the Penn State game, but he's played 2 in a row. He had a little bit of a rough outing here against Ohio State, but when you've been out all season and you're coming up against
Yeah.
Tuimoloau and
I suppose
Sawyer
it
and
makes sense
that,
actually if you've had a
it's
tackling all season, then don't you just leave them there?
yeah. But I think they were down their backup. I don't think the backup was playing either, so it's probably best to get him in there.
Throw
But
him in.
yeah, but he looked all right. He looked good in the Penn State game. So Jagusa's going to be one to watch next year if he's fully healthy again. He is. They are really excited about him at left tackle, and Notre Dame is it's the school for left tackles in the NFL. Like their line is crazy, and he's meant to be the next. So that is a name you will hear much more next year. But yeah. Ohio State win the Natty. Congratulations to them, and everyone goes away and licks their wounds, and they'll all come back and start again in about 5 or 6 months' time, and we will look forward to that very much. So yeah, that is the season done, and now, as I say, we're on the path to the draft. We've been through the Hula Bowl, and some people may have seen this week I mean, the big fallout from the Hula Bowl. We weren't able to do a review show because there was so little news coming out about it, and it all sounded very fishy. And it turns out it is very fishy. The things turned out to be like one big giant Ponzi scheme where there were no reporters there. Like there's rumors of them not paying venues. They've not paid their TV deals or anything like that. There's basically just not paid anybody. So there was nobody there to report on it, and there was nowhere to watch it on television. So yeah, that's crazy. We're probably not going to see the Hula Bowl back going next year. So we might be back just down to the 3 All-Star games or to a different variation. You would hope. I would hope that something comes up in its place because the Hula Bowl is big news for, a lot of small school draft prospects and late day three guys and stuff like that. That's their place to shine. So it's sad what has gone on with the Hula Bowl. We are unlikely to see it again. But Next on the stop, and we're getting to the slightly bigger ones now, is the East West Shrine Bowl. And for as much as everyone loves the pomp of the Senior Bowl, the draft starts in Mobile, all that yada yada yada. No, it doesn't. The draft has already started. Now, the Shrine Bowl is where you get to see a lot of the hidden talent, some of the better FCS prospects, Division 2, hell, even Division 3 prospects you get to see at this one. And this is where you find the hidden gems, right? I mean, I know we've done it in years past. We always favor the Shrine Bowl over the Senior Bowl because everybody knows about the players that goes to the Senior Bowl. They just get all the stuff talked about them. The Shrine Bowl's where you find the intriguing players, right?
Yeah. Like I say, household names, frankly, are no fun to scout. Like I say, we've been there, you've seen it, you've done it, you've worn the t-shirt, you've got pretty much a good basis. But for your HBCU, your FCS, your yeah, your group of five guys, and let's say even let's say on this list, your Division 2 and Division 3 guys that you've never heard of the school, never heard of the name. These are the ones where they can do their stock a world of good. Right, there's some of these guys, if they have a good game, like say like Quinn Miners did. If Quinn Miners didn't do really well on his bowl games, he had never been drafted. Like saying he now wouldn't be close to an extension after spending what, like 3 years as a consistent start for the Denver Broncos. Like I say, it's done him absolutely the world of good. There's a lot of success stories to come out of this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's potentially the next guy in his mold coming through this year as well, and he's in this class. So without further ado, let's go down into it. Let's break down this roster and let's have a look at who we like. And I need to just get my list up here because as usual, I am not prepared properly. So we're gonna start off on the offensive side of the ball. Give a little bit of a tiny bit of a background to all the players because there's a lot of them. And then, as always, if when we're talking about these guys, there's someone who interests you, intrigues you, and you want us to do more on them, just let us know, and we will deep dive them there for you. So, as always, we start through the offense and work our way through to the defense. We start with the quarterbacks, and well, I don't know about you, Ryan, but I love this crop of quarterbacks we've got in here. So, the quarterbacks for the Shrine Bowl. We've got Max Brosmer from Minnesota, Brady Cook from Missouri, Kyle McCord from Syracuse, Cam Miller from North Dakota State, Shadur Sanders from Colorado, and Peyton Thorne from Auburn. Now, with Brady Cook and Peyton Thorne, we've already talked about them in the Hula Bowl preview because they were there at that as well. So we've got four newbies to have a look at here, Ryan, and we can categorize these down a little bit. So we've got two FCS quarterbacks in here, one who has been in the FCS and moved up, and one who's come through. So Max Brosmer from the Minnesota Golden Gophers. He is a traditional pocket passer, 10,801 passing yards at 63.6% completion in his collegiate career, 87 touchdowns, 25 interceptions. He's had 629 rushing yards, and 14 touchdowns and 21 fumbles in his rushing career. He is 6'2", 225 pounds. As mentioned, he was a 4-year New Hampshire Wildcat before transferring for his last year to the Golden Gophers. And what a year he's had with the Golden Gophers. He threw 66% completion for him with 18 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. And bear in mind, 5 of those interceptions were in the first 5 weeks whilst he was adjusting to the Power 5. He only threw 1 interception after week 5. Now, he's not a deep field specialist. He never has been. You look at his deep throw numbers, they're a bit, they're not very good. But in the short to intermediate passing game, this dude absolutely will cook you. And this Minnesota team has been really good this year, especially on that offense. He's settled in. They've been a pain in the neck to most of the teams they've played in the Big Ten, and they're certainly headed in the right direction. And Brosmer, he's resilient. He'll take a hit if he needs to, but as I say, he will just dice you at the short to intermediate levels, and he's had a great season, and this has done his stock the world of good going into the preseason process. And then, of course, we've got Cam Miller we go right down into the powerhouses of the FCS here, the North Dakota State Bison. He is a dual threat quarterback, 9,778 passing yards at nearly 70% completion, 81 touchdowns to just 19 interceptions. And then as a runner, he's got 2,600 rushing yards, 48 rushing touchdowns, and he's fumbled the ball just 12 times in his career. He is 6'1", 212 pounds. He is a career Bison. He has completely dominated the FCS level, both with his arms and his legs. He is actually quite an accurate downfield passer. He can hit you at all three levels of the field. He's slightly on the smaller side at 6'1", 212 pounds, but he's got a running back's build. He plays like a running back, but he's a damn good quarterback as well. Obviously, with him, this is going to be the concern is the level of competition and what he's got at the next level. But here, Ryan, we have two guys who have been molded in the FCS. One made his way up, has had a really good year on an underdog team, and then Campbell is just one of the most successful quarterbacks of the last 5 years in any denomination here. These games are huge for guys like these when they come up against better competition, better coaching, stuff like that. This is where these guys can truly shine. But these two, they've earned their right to be here.
Yeah. Brosma, very good quarterback in his time at UNH, led them to, let's say, some really high finishes for the Wildcats in their conference. Had a really good job. Like I say, he's got a good arm, he's accurate, he's got good mobility in the pocket. Kind of feels pressure. He steps into his throws, he doesn't throw off his back foot. Like I say, he's very comfortable maneuvering in and around the pocket. And he the first couple of games, yeah, I was worried for him. They were shaky. Like I say, there were turnovers there. But to be fair, the Minnesota going overs in first few games in general were pretty poor. And like I say, I thought, oh God, like I said, this is going to be one of those disaster moves for him. But as the weeks progressed, PJ Fleck, like you say, gained more confidence in him. The offensive coordinator, they kind of gelled. Guys from back from injury, so Minnesota got a bit healthier. They got a few more weapons back as well. The run game kicked in, and all that just kind of took a bit of pressure on him, and he kind of just was able to relax a little bit, settle in. And in fact, say the last 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of the season, he was deadly accurate. He had them very competitive in their losses. He played really well. He wasn't detrimental to hardly any of the losses on the season. He was commanding a good offense through the air, and he looked very comfortable. He looked quite poised, like he'd been there a long time as well, to save someone that come up and made the adjustment very quickly. Picked a big school that's not known for having a strong passing offense. I know Tanner Morgan put up a lot of yards, but and he was a good leader, but they weren't a strong passing offense even in his time there. So this was a big step up for him in competition as well. But he passed the eye test. The numbers in the second half of the season did good. And as far as taking FBS opportunity to then boost your draft stock and increase your profile, it honestly could not have gone any better for him. Like I say, he jumped, he took the opportunity, went to a big school, and he did, yeah, he can hold his head high and said that he had a good year. And the other side, yeah, the Mighty Mouse, but we're talking, like I said, a dynasty. Cam Miller's a dynasty quarterback. Like I say, most of his time there, he's a winner. All he's ever really done, obviously, in recent times, not one, but he's always had them in position to wins. Like I say, he's a guy that just knows how to get it done. He's a better runner than thrower, if I'm honest. Like I say, he is incredibly comfortable throwing off piste or like when the play just breaks down, like falls apart. Like I say, sometimes that is where he does his best stuff, when he kind of just makes it up on the spot. Kind of like Kyler Murray, when kind of like shit hits the fan and he's got like scramble like 40 yards to gain a 10-yard run. He'll do it. Like I say, if he needs to, like say, go outside and then, like say, buy 10, 15 seconds to bomb one downfield, he'll do it. He's an absolute gamer. He's one of my favourite quarterbacks in the draft. He's one of the favourite quarterbacks I've watched over the years. He's been part of an incredibly powerful offense on both sides. And yeah, just rarely gets injured. So many appearances under his belt. Like I said, so many big games. He's also done really well against the FBS competition when they've scheduled it on the roster. He's never been a shrinking violet. So yeah, these two guys, like I said, one of them could be like the next Tyler Bagent. Didn't he? He was in the Shrine Bowl, wasn't he?
Handsome Bajan, I believe, was.
I
I
think
think,
he was, yeah. Like I
yeah,
said, the
either
next
that
thing you
or he
know,
might have got he might have got a Senior Bowl call.
it was one
But
of them, yeah, like I say, but picked up by the Bears. Next thing you know, with injuries and that, he's starting like 4 games. And like everyone loves the kid. He's coachable, big arm, and kind of just comes a bit of an internet celebrity, a bit of persona. Like I say, one of these two guys could be that guy.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to see how these two get on the process there. And then obviously we've got another couple of intriguing ones here. So Kyle McCord,
I
this
think he's a
feels like,
sleeper.
yeah, right. So the Syracuse Orange guy, he's a pocket passer. That's always been his MO. He doesn't really do much with his legs, but 8,535 passing yards, 65.7% completion rating, 61 touchdowns to just 20 interceptions. He's got 211 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. As I say, doesn't run the ball a lot. 12 fumbles in there as well. He's 6'3", 220 pounds, great build. 3 years at Ohio State, obviously sat behind some, star quarterbacks there. Had the year as the starter last year where I thought he got unfairly critiqued. Like a lot of blame went to him when I don't think it should have, but he made the move to Syracuse, and we wondered what it would be like. 'Cause it's been year one of Fran Brown there, and I mean, you talk about moves paying off. He was the nation's most prolific passer this year, 4,760 yards, 34 touchdowns, and just 12 interceptions. And if you remember, he had that one game, I think it was against Pittsburgh, where he threw 3 pick sixes in one game, but like 5 interceptions overall. He had like a Jared Goff game in that one. So the vast majority of those picks came in one game. Like I say, he is another dangerous deep ball thrower, especially between the numbers. His stats between the numbers are mind blowing. He's nearly 100% accurate on deep throws between the numbers. He sometimes struggles a little bit more with accuracy in the intermediate passing game. Like he does the deep passing better than the intermediate stuff, which of course caps what he can do at this moment in time. But there's no question he can hit you at all three levels, and he's enjoyed a huge resurgence, as I say, under Fran Brown and the Orange this year. Like this is a guy with pedigree, Ryan. Like he was a big commit to Ohio State. He was the next heir apparent at Ohio State. He had a year at Ohio State, and didn't really think he'd done enough to lose that job potentially because they had to go out and get someone to replace him, but he did, and boy, oh boy, that Syracuse team was fun to watch this year on offense because of him.
Yeah. I imagine he probably had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. I can imagine he felt like the fans were probably pretty harsh on him. Buckeyes fans, they were pretty quick to turn on him and oust him. It felt like in general. Like I say, when he,
Especially
yeah,
after the game.
yeah. Obviously, they didn't achieve what they wanted to, but he wasn't the root of their problems. Like I say, he was not bad by any stretch of the imagination. He put up very solid numbers in that season. And then yeah, this year, yeah, Syracuse were probably one of the most fun teams to watch in the entire country. Every week kind of felt like you were going to see an absolute gauntlet or a showdown. As a team, they were very flaky. Like I said, they could blow huge leads or they could get into these wild games where Messi lacked control, but that's not his problem. That was a team problem where they were very sloppy. But yeah, he was a bit air raidy. Like I say, and obviously that don't work as well. But he was very good. Yes, the numbers, like I say, the from like snap to getting the throw out, he's lightning quick. He gets through his reads and his progressions incredibly quick. And like I say, he's got a cannon. Obviously, throwing indoors helps. Like I say, it's a dome, isn't it? Syracuse playing, like I say, so won't expose the conditions, but a lot. But like I say, can't take it away from him. Like I say, he's an absolute laser when he bombs it downfield. He had a lot of talented receivers as well. Like I say, he had Gadsden, the tight end, who was an absolute star. Like the alerted was offense. Like I say, I like Calvin Cord. He's well built. He's a fast processor. He's got a good arm. He can make all the throws, especially on the runs. He sometimes, yeah, he makes throws sometimes that aren't there. Like I say, he sometimes will force throws, and like I say, that's where turnovers came from. Like I say, the Pittsburgh game was a complete disaster, a meltdown for him, and it derailed Syracuse's season, if I remember rightly. After that, they went on, like I say, it started a bit of a skid, but yeah, he's immensely talented. Like I say, he's got good pedigree. Yeah, and he won't ever be expected to start after like a year or two. Like I say, he's a long-term project, but there's a lot of upside. He doesn't have many bad habits.
No, I think he's been very good. Like he's got the build 6'3", 220. You like the build about him. He's again hyper efficient. You like that about him. He doesn't tend to get flustered a lot. And you kind of think of like if he's like an early day three guy or something like that, you're like, I've got no qualms about that. I think that's worth it. Like
Like I say, the only thing is, doesn't run the ball, doesn't want to run
no,
the ball. If you
no.
fluster him with it, when you get him under pressure for game outside of the pocket, then yeah, you've got him where you want him, really.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the thing he's probably got to work on if he wants to make it at the pros. You kind of got to get that pocket awareness up a bit and, shake it off. But I think he's incredibly talented. Again, another one of these who's, right in there. Then, as I mentioned, we got big time throwers like Peyton Thorne in there, and we got Brady Cook who've both passed for tons. And then the last one. We got a potential top five pick in the draft. Shadur's here. 14,400 passing yards, 70% completion, 134 touchdowns to 27 interceptions. He's got 1,300 rushing yards, 17 touchdowns, 31 fumbles. I mean, he's dual threat-ish. Like he can use his legs to get out of sticky situations, although he doesn't like to if he doesn't have to. 6'2", 215, obviously 2 years at Jackson State with his dad first, before the 2 years at Colorado. Again, extremely prolific passer. That nearly 15,000 yards has come in just 4 seasons. Um, Projected top 10, top 5 pick coming up. Incredibly mobile in the pocket and again able to find his way out of pressure. Big time arm. And the big thing about him, he's seriously durable. He's taken 90 sacks in the last 2 seasons, 9-0. And he's practically missed no time at all with injury. He very rarely puts the ball in harm's way, and there's plenty of times he's shown just how clutch he is as a quarterback. He can just lead devastatingly quick drives at the end of games. I mean, Shador is this quarterback class. I think a lot of people get underrated, a lot of people get overrated, but he's going to be a very good quarterback. And I say that durability is going to be big for him. Hopefully, not getting sacked nearly 50 times a year all the time will do well for him. Like this is a big get for the Shrine Bowl. He's a top five pick, and you don't often see them here.
No, it's very odd to see a guy that knows he's going in the top 10 be at the Shrine Bowl. He doesn't need to be here. He doesn't need to speak to these coaches because he already knows that he's cash money. He could genuinely be a Titan. He could be the first overall pick. You say it won't be out of the question. I suppose maybe it speaks more to his character. Maybe he's trying to address any character concerns people have about him by being here, putting himself out there. I suppose in a weird way, mingling with the
There's about
paupers.
there's about 7 Buffaloes there, so it feels more
Yeah.
like a team effort.
I
Like
think
they've
I
all
think
gone
it
as a
feels like he's gone
team.
to support his teammates. I think like, for his own draft stock, I highly doubt he does much in the game. He
Yeah.
can't risk injury. Like I say, he might do some drills. He's there for the media. He's there for his colleagues. He's there for yeah. He's there to answer some questions. And I think it says a lot to his character that he's actually turned up. A lot of guys would feel they're too good for this.
Yeah.
And I know in my past I've not been a fan of him, like say the arrogance, the fucking bling in the ring at the crowd, like the watch, the whole thing. Like it's his thing. Okay, it's his yeah. He's every much a bit of his dad, like you say, and I can't blame him for him. I agree with you. Imagine if you gave him a good O line. Imagine
Yeah.
just how good he could have been the last 2 years if he wasn't constantly getting pelted or running for his life. He
Yeah.
probably would have a playoff team.
Yeah.
It's
And I
it's
mean,
a product of the fact that he has been in danger for the last 2 years. Like I say, that it's pretty remarkable what he's been able to do. I
yeah.
honestly, I mean, yeah, I think he's going to be a star.
Yeah. I mean,
He's
like
just got
that.
all the qualities and traits of a guy that can light up the league if you give him credible support around him.
I think this is the thing. He needs to land in the right system.
Yeah.
He needs to land at the right team that's
Honestly,
going
the
to
thought of him
nurture
in
him.
Titans worries me because, like I say, despite getting, like, say, uh, who
It's
was
not.
the
It's not the right team
Skoronski?
for him. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, despite upgrading their O line's been dog shit.
And they're
They'll
not a
kill the
passing
kid.
team. And they're not a passing team. They don't
No.
invest in great. They want to run the football, which I guess is good for him.
Ridley
But
was dreadful.
yeah, you need a
Yeah,
team that's like 65-35 pass for
yeah.
Shador.
Like I
Like
say,
a good 35
who
running.
has the O line and the quarterback need to protect him?
Yeah, that's the trouble. He's going to have to struggle to start with. But
Yeah,
again, you take 90 sacks in 2 seasons, you show your durability, but
yeah.
hits are harder in the NFL and a lot more unforgiving. So, it's going to be intriguing, but there's a big get for the Shrine Bowl. And again, I love this group of quarterbacks they've got there. So you've just got prolific passers, top five picks, big FCS guys. Mal Barker goes 4,700 yards in times of McCord. Yeah, he did. Brent goes 90 sacks. Is that a record? Durable for sure. I'm not sure over a 2 season period if it's a record, but it can't be
It's
far
got to be
off.
up there for
It
a
can't be far off.
Power
I think
Five school.
I think the only one who might lay claim to that is the Old Dominion quarterback, because like 2 years ago they gave up nearly 70 sacks in a season. Grant Watson, no, Grant Wilson. He might lay claim to that, but ODU were a lot better at protecting the quarterback. Anywho, so yeah, those are your quarterbacks for the Shrine Bowl. Max Brosmer, Brady Cook, Cal McCord, Cam Miller, Shador Sanders, Peyton Thorne. Let's get this train moving a little bit. Let's get back into the running back room. So for the running backs, we've got Jaden Blue out of Texas. We've got Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. We've got Jackarori Krosky Merritt out of Arizona. Jaquindon Jackson out of Arkansas. Montrell Johnson Jr. out of Florida. Corey Kiner out of Cincinnati. Phil Maffer out of Clemson. I thought he was going back, but no, he's going to the draft. And then we've got Rocket Raheem Sanders out of South Carolina. So just a little bit on these guys that I got here. So in terms of the running backs, Jaden Blue from the Texas Longhorns, 6 foot, 200 pounds, 1,159 rushing yards in his career, 11 touchdowns, 7 fumbles, 500 receiving yards with 7 touchdowns, and his pass blocking and run blocking. His pass blocking is 40. His run block is 56. I just use PFF grades for these just to give you an update. Don't necessarily mean what we think about them, but just putting it in there for context. And then we've got Taj Brooks from the Texas Tech Red Raiders, 5'10", 230 pounds, 4,590 rushing yards, which must be a school record. It's got to be 45 touchdowns, just 5 fumbles in his entire career, 546 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. His run blocking is 69, his pass blocking is 68. We'll start with the two Texas boys first, right? But Taj Brooks, I mean, just we talk about how stacked a running back class we've got here. Nobody talks about Taj Brooks amongst the top running backs in this class, but this is a guy who just for years and years and years now has been an elite runner. And yes, he's smaller at 5'10", but he's 230 pounds. That kind of gives you Frank Gore vibes, doesn't it? Like Mighty Mouse, who's just going to absolutely blow you away. And he's a great pass protector, a great run blocker. He's probably one of the greatest running backs Texas Tech have ever had.
Yeah, he's very much in that kind of short, stocky, big thighs, AJ Dillon vibes. He's not going to catch passes out the backfield. That you don't want him catching passes out the backfield. Like you said, you want to give him the ball. You want to, like say, pull a guard, pull a blocker, create a hole for him, and just let him barrel. Like you say, he's very much it's like David Montgomery. He is the Montgomery to the Gibbs. Like I say, he's going to get the third downs. Like I say, if you're going to go for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, like I say, you can give him a lead blocker, put a fullback in. And like I say, he has got the short body, stout, to, like I say, barrel of line and convert. Like I say, he's one of the best players Texas Tech have had in recent years. Like I say, they've not had a ton of success, but they've always been good when he's been on the field. He's been very dependable. His ball security is absolutely elite, which is one of the biggest things in this class. He very rarely coughs it up despite so many touches. On the flip side, Jaden Blue is very much what the guys in the NFL now want to go for. Like I say, 6 foot, 200 pounds, looks like an Adonis. The numbers are all misleading, but the kid spent how many years behind Bijan Robinson? Like I
He's
say, it was
this was
very,
he's brave. This is his first year as a starter, and
yeah.
he's only a junior. This
Yeah.
is brave.
It's one of those things like he could have been a starter anywhere else in college football, but he decided not to transfer. It's like I said, despite being a running back 2, running back 3, this year he's been electric. Now he is a pass catcher on a wheel route, on a slant, like say on those, like say those quick outs, those quick ins. He's an absolute electric athlete. Like I said, there's a lot of fumbles. His ball security is the big thing he needs to work on because he's sometimes, like I say, he's lackadaisical in swapping the ball to right hands and then not being aware of who's behind him and chasing him. So he's been very boom or bust, but honestly, he might be a star.
And I mean, again, you've got to admire the commitment in a deep running back, in one of the deepest running
Yeah,
back classes we've ever
he
had.
didn't
He's
have to
committed
declare.
early
We'll
as a
find out
one-year
if that was a
starter.
mistake or not.
Yeah, he's such an intriguing prospect, Jaden Blue is now, because again, he's declared early in a class that is stacked. He would have been best to wait till next year, but no, he's gonna come and do it now. So, and you saw against the game against Ohio State, like he was destroying them,
Yeah,
on the Texas routes, all that stuff he was running, like they couldn't deal with him. So, and an NFL scout's gonna look at that and go, oh my. They're gonna see what Ben Johnson's done with Gibbs here and go, oh. Wow, like that's going to translate, and that's probably where he's going to be really brave. In terms of the others, we mentioned Krosky Merritt the other week, but he scored the only touchdown of the Hula Bowl, and man, he looks good. He's had a year off because he had, if you remember, we talked about the eligibility issues where he came back and then he found out he was ineligible and he should never have come back, so he's had to sit all year. The dust's right off him. 2,440 rushing yards, 29 touchdowns, 4 fumbles. Ball security is immense. He's got the best feet, maybe, of any running back in this draft. Like his ability and change of direction speed, someone's going to absolutely love him, and he can pass block well as well. So, yeah, I figure he's going to do well. But outside of this, we've got Jaquindon Jackson from Arkansas. 2,160 rushing yards for him, 29 touchdowns, 5 fumbles. He's 6'2", 233 pounds. He's a big boy. He's not a receiver, though. He's got 200 receiving yards, 55 run block, just 33 on his pass blocking. It's not his strength. Montrell Johnson Jr. from Florida. He's 5'11", 216 pounds. 3,090 rushing yards in college, 33 touchdowns, just 3 fumbles for him. Got a bit of receiving about him, 411 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. His run blocking is 59, his pass blocking is 52. You got Corey Kiner from Cincinnati, 5'9", 210. Nearly 3,000 rushing yards for him, 16 touchdowns, 5 fumbles, but again, not a receiver. His pass blocking is only 42 as well. We'll start with those. So we've got Jaquindon Jackson, Montrell Johnson, Corey Kiner. Montrell Johnson's another one of those, and I've been watching him and looking at him. I'm like, why has no one talked about him? I think he's just gone completely under the radar because Florida's not been a very good team. No one's given him kudos, but like that Florida team's been very good this year on the back half of it. And guys like him are the reason why obviously everyone's enamored with the true freshman running back and obviously DJ Lagway. And he's gone under the radar, but there's some very experienced guys here in this group.
yeah. I think as a collection, we look at a whole group that's played a lot of games. Like say, Jaquin Jackson. When you look at him, you look at him and think, "Oh God, he must be good." And you watch him like, underwhelmed. He's slow, like you say, can't catch. How can you be that big and not block very well? Kind of crazy. He's an absolute man mountain, and like you say, it always feels like he's never lived up to potential. Like you say, you look at Krosky Merritt, the Wildcats were dreadful this year. They'd have probably been a damn sight better if he could have played. Like I say, he's been very productive. It left a gaping hole and it put too much pressure on Fafita this year, so they really did struggle. Like I say, Montrell Johnson, good career. Three 800-yard seasons, and then this year only took 100 carries, but it did get nearly 6 yards a carry. He's got, like say, 500 carries across his career. Like I said, he's never been spoken about because the Florida run game is not something that has been highlighted over recent years. Because in general, their team has struggled, and it's always been talks about of, like I say, Lagway, Anthony Richardson, guys like Pete Saul. Their passing offense has been highlighted more, but their run game has been pretty crucial to the success. And yeah, it's a very interesting group. Corey Kiner, like I say, he's very little. 175, so that makes him 5'7", 5'8". He's a little diminutive, and like I say, he's the kind of guy he's a second fiddle. Like I said, that's not a knock on him because like I said, the Bearcats the last 2 years, he stacked what 1,000 yards a year. So he's been very productive as a guy that comes in as relief as a change of pace back. and he's someone I reckon that could be really good on special teams or as a pass catcher at the backfield, maybe even a future returner. So yeah, it's a very interesting group. And then yeah, the big name, Rocket Sanders.
Oh,
Honestly, the guy should have been a star in college football, Joe, but he, is it me? He's not lived up to it for some reason.
I
It's,
mean,
it's
you had the early
he's
K.
obviously he's missed time as well. He has struggled with niggles and injuries throughout his playing time as well.
They had the really him and KJ had the really good year 3 years
3 years
ago,
ago.
and then because he went 1,000 yards, then they
Yeah.
had the big down year the next year. Now he's gone to South Carolina. So,
Yeah, he's done all
um,
right. Like you say, and the South Carolina team weren't great. Like you say, he's got the home run. He's got the big play potential.
he's not a three down, but so he's got 3,134 rushing yards on his career, 28 touchdowns. He's fumbled it 9 times, 743 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns. He is a receiving back. His
It
pass
feels better when you
blocking,
limit the touches.
yeah, his pass blocking's 29. He's not a pass blocker. He is a guy. He's a two. He's your first two down guy. You get him run the ball, get him in space, and then on third downs you use him as a receiver, and then you bring someone else in to block for him. I'm interested to see on the last guy though, Phil Mather. You've mentioned Phil Mather a lot over the years. So the Clemson Tigers running back, six
He's
one,
massive.
230 pounds. There's some big boys in this class here. He's a smidge under 2,900 rushing yards, 28 touchdowns, just 4 fumbles. Ball security is great. Only 309 receiving yards. He's really a workhorse guy, but his pass blocking is 60. His run blocking is 50. This guy, I mean, at Clemson, you've got to block. You've got to be willing to do the dirty work there for them. And yeah, it kind of feels like it never took off to superstardom like he should have. But again, in a very good running back class, this is one of the guys who could just slip and slip and slip, and someone's wondering how the hell did we get him here?
Yeah, he could slide. Like I say, he's your quintessential. He's an upright runner, and he's a very north and south. Makes the cut, hits the hole, runs, like I say, and will break tackles contact. Like I say, the carries have gone up every year. For year 1 to 2 went up by 30, year 2 to 3 went up by 80, and you've got 40 more carries. So they've trusted him more and more every year. He's become the workhorse. In the last 2 years, he's finally really kicked on, got most of his production. And that's quite difficult to say because the last 2 years they've also had K Klubnik, that's been one of the biggest gunslingers in college football, it's felt like. So it felt like they've really struggled to get him complimentary because, like I say, he's not a pass catcher. It's
No.
either he's on the field and he's running the ball, or he's not on the field and we're throwing the ball. They've never really managed to amalgamate both. And whether, like say, he should have stayed Clemson longer, maybe he should have left at some point, maybe gone somewhere to a more run first kind of offense. But yeah, the body of work, the builds, the ball security, the discipline. Like I say, he's got everything. Like I say, he's got the experience. It's just right now, it's not really kind of accumulative. And he's also been splitting carries in recent years with Will Shipley, who was a
Yeah.
rookie last year. So they
Yeah.
them two were a really good tandem. They were quite strong pushing each other. So he has kind of sat him. He's kind of bided his time for the first 2 years, and now he's got the jobs here. Phil's very interesting.
Yeah, it does indeed. I'm interested to see what he does. Brent in the comments, he goes, "Do you all remember the running back that came out of Monmouth last year, Jaden Sheridan? Never heard of him, but the Michigan Panthers just signed him. So that's interesting. We'll get to
Probably a good
see.
move for him.
I mean, that was a good class last year. Like Dylan Laub's
Dylan
fought his
Laub
way
came
onto a
out of the FCS as
roster.
well, yeah.
He's fought his way onto a roster. He was New Hampshire as well, wasn't he, Dylan Laub? He came from that.
Yes.
So he came from the same team that Max Brosma did.
Yep.
But he's fought his way onto a roster. I don't think he's had a ton of carries, but he's on the roster and he's fighting for his spot on there, and he has had some carries. So last year's running back class from the FCS has actually put up a good fight. I'll be interested to see Jaden Sheridan at the Panthers. He should wreck shit up there for the Panthers. They're always a good side. Good offensive line, good quarterback. We'll have to keep an eye out for him there. So yeah, that is your running backs for the Shrine Bowl. Jaden Blue, Taj Brooks, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Jaquindon Jackson, Montrell Johnson Jr., Corey Kiner, Phil Maffer, and Rocket Sanders. We'll move on to the receivers now, and oh boy, there are some we need to talk about in here. We've got quite a lot, so we'll break them we'll break them down a little bit, but just the list to start with. So we got Ja'Cory Brooks from Louisville. We got the Miami pair of Sam Brown and Jacoby George. We got Trayshawn Holden from Oregon, Jimmy Horn from Colorado, Keandre Lambert Smith from Auburn, Dominic Lovett from Georgia, Jackson Meeks from Syracuse, Kanata Mumpfield from Pittsburgh, Nick Nash from San Jose State, Isaiah Neyor from Nebraska, Caden Prather from Maryland, Will Shepherd from Colorado, Dante Thornton Jr. from Tennessee, Theo Weiss Jr. from Missouri, Antoine Wells Jr. from Mississippi, LaJohntay Wester from Colorado, and finished off with Ricky White from UNLV. So let's kind of break these down into groups of five or something. So we've got Ja'Cory Brooks starting off with 6'3", 195 pounds. He's outside receiver from Louisville. Nearly 2,000 receiving yards in his career with 19 touchdowns. Average yards per reception of 16.2. He's a punt and kick returner as well. His run blocking is graded at 56. And then we've got the outside receiver pairing from Miami. So Sam Brown is 6'2", 195 pounds, 1,900 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns, nearly 13 yards per reception. His run blocking is 76. He's a very good run blocking wide receiver. Jacoby George, he's 6 foot, 176 pounds, nearly 2,000 receiving yards for him, 17 touchdowns, nearly 15 yards per reception. He was a punt returner in 21 and 22. His run blocking is 57. We got Trayshawn Holden from Oregon. He's big guy, 6'3", 205. He's an outside receiver, although he splits. He's about 70-30, so he works inside as well. About 1,800 receiving yards for him, 18 touchdowns, 14 yards per reception. His run blocking's up at 70 as well, but you've got to be physical on that Oregon team. And then Jimmy Horn rounds out the first five. He's the slot receiver from Colorado, 5'10", 170. He may be small, but he is mighty. 2,000 receiving yards. 11 touchdowns, just over 12 yards per reception, sorry. He's a kick returner. He's got over 700 career kick return yards. Goes over 22 yards per return. He's got one he's housed as well. His run blocking is 52. I mean, quite a lot of outside guys here, but Jimmy Horn, maybe, I don't know for you, highlights this lot, but some good outside receivers from this first group here.
I really like Ja'Cory Brooks. Like you
Mm.
say, former Alabama guy. Like you say, he struggled to crack the team for 2 years. In 2022, he did have a big part to play, where he only had he had 670 yards of just off 40 receptions. Then it went down to 2023, where he missed time and decided to turn to the portal for his final year. Hit the Louisville Cardinals this year, and like I say, Tyler Shook was putting up some big numbers. And this guy was one of the reasons why. 60 catches, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. I say he is an he's an explosive deep threat guy. Not to mention also a dynamic returner. He's got a career as a punt and a kickoff returner. So he will definitely be working out on many special teams, many rosters in the NFL to try win a job primarily as a returner and then work his way into the team. But yeah, he's got a decent build. He's got a good radius. Like he's able to breeze past guys if they give him too big a cushion, and he's got good hand-eye coordination for tracking the ball, especially on deep shots over the top. And yeah, Sean Holden, like I say, big guy, 6'3", 200 pounds, played, like I say, second fiddle to Tez Johnson this year, but did it admirably. 718 yards and 45 catches with 5 touchdowns. Like I say, he's good. He's lean, needs to build a bit of muscle. He's a bit skinny for 6'3", but he can definitely put weight on his frame. Fortunately for him, what everyone only remembers him for is the ejection for spitting on the Ohio State
Mm.
player. Like I said, that's the red flag on his resume right now that he needs to convince people that it was out of character for him and apologize. But yeah, two big guys. And then yeah, Jimmy Horn, man, gadget guy, super fun to watch for the but like. To be fair, we're going to talk about all the Buffaloes receivers this year. Probably three of the best of the whole core. What's different is they were all so different. Like I say, one was long, one was rangy outside, one was like in the slot. Like I say, one was a decent returner. They had the best of all three worlds, all three of them. But yeah, Horn was fun to watch.
I mean, he feels like he's gonna. I know it's lazy comparison, but obviously with being as small as he is, people are gonna go, Devon A chain. They're gonna go, oh, Khalil Shakir, something like that. But like he's a good returner, but he feels a lot more than that. Like I say, these Colorado receivers, technically the way they run routes and their technical ability as receivers, you kind of feel like. Come on, he's worth more than that. He's not he might be small, but the attributes he possesses means he's got more than his fair chance of being a great receiver at the NFL level.
Yeah, like you say, he's got the work ethic. He's got a good route tree. Like you say, he's got good hand-eye coordination. He's got good footwork as well. Like I say, when the ball is in his hands in space, it's probably a nightmare scenario for most defenders. Like you say, with the build, he's got elusivity. He can wriggle out of tackles. He's got an arsenal of, like you say, he could hurdle, he can spin move, he can juke. So he's very comfortable making guys miss. And he's primarily going to build a career off yak. What giving the ball in his hands, like say, pretty quick, all behind the line of scrimmage, and then kind of just ask him to do things, and he will make a lot of guys miss in that aspect.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. I'm really in his corner there. For as much as we've kind of hated on Colorado a bit, like these receivers are damn good. In terms of the next five, we'll break down. Where are we? So we start with Keandre Lambert-Smith from the Auburn Tigers, obviously former Penn
Ex-Penn State,
State
he's good.
sign out. Yeah, 6'1", 182. He's an outside receiver as well. 2,700 receiving yards total in his collegiate career, 19 touchdowns, 15 and a half yards per reception. They like to get him downfield. Minimal work on special teams for him, but his run blocking is 60. Obviously, when you're at Penn State, you've got to run block well, so he's very experienced at that. Then we got Dominic Lovett, the slot receiver out of Georgia. He's 5'10", 187, 2,214 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns, 11 and a half yards per reception, about on par with the slot receiver. He works the punt coverage on special teams. His run blocking's only 45, but again, these small slot receivers, difficult for them to do that. Then we've got some of the intriguing ones here. Jackson Meeks from the Syracuse Orange. So he's 6'2", 210 pounds. Another outside receiver. There's a lot of outside receivers here for this one. Not much before this year, but in 2024, 1,024 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, 13 yards per reception. Of course, he's benefited from having Kyle McCord to throw at him. He's a vastly experienced special teamer as well, which brings his route onto an NFL tree there. And his run blocking 76. Like again, the Syracuse team love to run the ball. You got to run the ball. You've got to run. You've got to block for that a lot there. Then we've got Kanata Mumpfield from the Pittsburgh Panthers. He's 6'1", 185. The first of the hybrids. So he's a 55-45 split in favor of being an outside receiver, but he does a lot of work inside as well. 2,700 career receiving yards for him, 19 touchdowns, 12.3 yards per reception. Done a little bit of punt return work and special teams work. His blocks at 52 as well. And then the last one for this group, Nick Nash. We mentioned him the other week actually because he was in the Hula Bowl game, the San Jose State Spartan, 6'3", 195, the slot receiver there. We've kind of done work on him already. So next group, right? I mean, Lambert Smith, you've already mentioned. He's great. I don't know why he left Penn State. He's had a good year with Auburn, with Peyton Thorne, who's had a decent year. Love it. We've seen what's happened with these disrespected Georgia receivers. Obviously, Lab McConkey's gone for over 1,000 yards in his first year there. You can't rule these guys out. Some potential intriguing guys.
Yeah, like I say, Jackson Meeks, like I say, 3 years at Georgia, and he had 10 receptions. Like I say, he was a special teamer, and when he came in, or when he came in the offense, he was a blocker. Primarily, he blocked on the outside, especially in the run game. Decided to gamble because he followed Fran Brown, didn't he, in 2024? He decided to
Yeah.
follow him to Syracuse, and yeah, but yeah, boy, did he benefit. Next thing, let's say, he caught nearly everything that came his way. 78 catches, 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Had a very good year as one of the focal points of the offense for this new Kyle McCord powered offense. So one of the moves of the transfer guys that really did work out for him. He went from a guy that was basically just hanging around on the roster, bit of a special teamer, a gunner, a guy that would just make tackles on kickoff, to being the focal point of an offense and trusted with a coach that knows him really well and decided to bring him with him. So yeah, just got 1 year of work, Like I say, he's got a lot to prove,
Mm.
but there's potential there for some upside talent for a guy that you'd probably expect late day three, early UDFA. But like I say, he's someone to definitely keep an eye on.
Yeah.
You've got, like you say, Kanata, Mumpfield had a good year, decent build. Like you say, he's had like 3 years now in the Panthers offense. He's been pretty consistent. Like you say, he can kind of move around. Like you say, you could put him in a trips, you could put him on his own and a single guy on the outside. So he's someone that will move around all the way, and you'd be able to put him in, ask him to do different things as well.
Yeah. Where do you reckon Lambert Smith goes? Like, he's a good outsider. It feels like he's never had the massive breakout he should have done, but he feels like he's a really good player who's just maybe never been in the situation to be able to produce. Because you've
I
seen
feel like the moving
the
to Auburn, I don't feel like it helped stock despite having good year. I
no,
think, like I say, he's supremely talented. Like I say, he's physical, he's young, he's strong. Like I say, I really like him. I think he's really talented. I think he will be someone that could see limited action as a rookie. He should
yeah,
go there and will compete with some guys. And the fact that, like I say, just does the dirty stuff as well.
yeah.
I say he's willing to win on the blocks. He's willing to able to play special teams, no doubt. I imagine punts, kick returns, and that the kind of things where you'll throw him in, and like I say, you trust him to get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving on to some of the big guys now. I don't mean big in terms of name value, but because of height. So we've got Isaiah Neyor from Nebraska. He's 6'4", 220, another outside receiver, 1,600 career receiving yards for him, 17 touchdowns, over 18 yards per reception. So he's been their deep threat guy. He's had a really good year with Dylan Raiola. 46 run block for him there. Got minor work on special teams. Then we got Caden Prather from Maryland. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. Another outside receiver. 2,000 receiving yards in college. 12 touchdowns. 12.1 yards per reception. His run blocking rate is nearly 60. Got decent special teams work, though. He's never done any return work in there. We got Will Shepherd from the Colorado Buffaloes, 6'3", 205 pounds. Another outside receiver, 2,700 receiving yards for him in his collegiate career, 27 touchdowns, 13 and a half yards per reception. He's got a really good body of special teams work, although he doesn't return much. Nearly 70 when it comes to his run blocking. And then you got the biggest of the lot, Dante Thornton Jr., the Tennessee Volunteer. He's 6'5", 214 pounds. Another outside receiver. Only 1,424 receiving yards in his career, 10 touchdowns, but 22 yards per reception. This is your deep, deep threat guy. Run blocks at 61, no special teams work for him. And then, in fact, we'll leave it there because I think we've got four left after this. And there's only one place you're going to go right here. You've loved this guy for his entire career, and I imagine you're very eagerly waiting to see where he ends up in the draft. There's only one guy we're starting with, right?
I presume we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, big fan of Will Shepherd. I feel like he was probably, despite the body of work and despite the size, he felt like the guy that always like was the odd man out. I always
Hmm.
felt like Horn, Hunter, and Wester would get the plaudits, would get the highlights. But like I say, he's strong, he's tall, he's got long arms, he's got good hands, he's got a nice frame. Like I say, he's very physical when he engages blocks. Like I say, someone that can hold his own on the outside and like spring the big play by getting hold of a corner and like not letting them go. And then yeah, he's very physical at the point of catch. He's very good at the contested balls. He's comfortable going, like saying, coming back and just being a quarterback's best friend, where he comes back and then he'll come back towards the ball and make himself available. Like I say, hasn't put up some of the numbers of the guys. Like I say, he was very dependable at a Vanderbilt team. Like I say, a team that struggled to move the ball down the field. He's someone that made himself readily available and got better every year there. And then, like I say, made the big transfer. Like I say, was part of an explosive offense. Made himself, it was a complimentary piece. But I feel like in a lot of other teams, he probably would have had a bigger role and probably would have seen more targets. I feel like there he really wasn't valued because he was on the depth chart. he was struggling as a guy, like I say, to get touches. So yeah, I like Will Shepherd. I feel like he'll be a really hard worker and someone that you probably get for fairly cheap, purely because of just being a bit of an afterthought with the guys around him.
That's the thing. He's not afraid of a chat. He's cut his teeth at Vanderbilt, like first off, and he stayed loyal to them for a very long time. You know, he's done all that dirty grunt work there. You know, with not the best quarterbacks throwing at him, and he's been able to garner a reputation enough to go and play for Dion, and he seems to have worked very well in Dion's system. And like I say, he blocks, he's tough, he's hardworking. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him come to the Lions in this draft. You know, if you know, depending on what you're doing with Tim Patrick, you've got to build your guy of the future on the edge. Why not Will Shepherd? He could be right in there. There's some of these other guys I mentioned. Not the greatest career production here, but this is why you have them. And someone like Dante Thornton's going to stick out as well, like 22 yards per reception downfield. And you know what that Tennessee offense is like, so he's going to get some love there. And then a few. And there's some guys we really like in here to end this. Theo Weiss Jr. from the Missouri Tigers. He's 6'2", 192 pounds. He's an, again, outside receiver. Sorry. 2,610 yards, 20 touchdowns, 15.1 yards per reception. Run blocks at 53, but obviously part of this magnificent Brady Cook-led Missouri offense there, and he's got his quarterback with him here, so that's always a bonus. We've got Antoine Wells Jr. from the old Miss Rebels, 6', 205 pounds, another outside receiver, 3,270 receiving yards in college with 32 touchdowns and just a smidge under 16 yards per reception for him. He run blocks just a smidge under 60. Then we've got another Colorado Buffalo. We got LaJohntay Wester, we mentioned him. He's 5'11", 167 pounds. Like, he's light, but he's the other slot receiver there. 3,600 receiving yards, 31 touchdowns, just 11 yards per reception, but all comes after the catch with this guy. He's highly experienced on special teams, 740 punt return yards and 2 touchdowns, 309 kick return yards, only run blocks at 53, but he weighs what a wet paper bag does, so that's not what you use him for. And then Ricky White, who we both absolutely love, UNLV, 6'1", 190, outside receiver. He's a 70-30 split, so he does work on the inside as well. And that the Brennan Marion go-go offense is complex for these guys, so you've got to come in, you've got to block a lot as well. His run blocking is 70. 3,364 receiving yards, 24 touchdowns, 15 yards per reception. This guy is a superior special teamer. He's blocked 4 kicks in 2024 alone, more than anybody else in the nation. He is one of the elite wide receiving special teamers in this draft, but he is also a dangerous outside option, a great run blocker because, again, in the go-go, you've got to block a lot. I mean, talk about ending with a bang here, right? Like Ricky White, LaJohntay Wester, Antoine Wells. You watch Ole Miss a lot. Theo Weiss is exceptional. He's played backup to Luther Burden, but I mean, this is where the talent really starts to show through here.
Yeah, LaJohntay Wester, fascinating. Like I say, 'cause he's built like a middle school kid. Like I say,
He doesn't play like one.
no, I say he's a guy where primarily everything comes after he catches the ball. If he catches the ball out in space, it's too late. Maybe, like I say, he's incredibly agile. He's got acceleration. Like I say, in a couple of strides, his strides aren't big because he's a small guy. Like I say, but he's got top end speed. Like I say, as well. He's got great hands, so fielding punts and kickoffs will be no bother to him. He doesn't shy away from contact, despite, like say, weighing a buck 70. So he's someone that will primarily make a name in the league if he can take a kick to the house, and that's how he'll find himself in those offenses. They're going to want someone probably more pass heavy, like I say, with maybe a slot on either side, a bit more of a spread offense, like I say. But yeah, someone that can make an impact very quickly in one facet of the game or the other. And then, yeah, these guys are a bit more production, more pedigree. Antoine Wells, he's been around the block. He's done it in the SEC at multiple schools. Like you say, he's a good second fiddle. Like you say, Trey Harris missed time this year. Like you say, he was someone that had to kind of pick up the mantle, take off the pressure for him. He's very good in the red zone. Like I say, a lot of career touchdowns. That's where he does his best work, is when the field gets shorter. He's physical despite his size. And then Ricky White. Everyone now by should know him there. He's a star. Like I say, he's one of the most complex, powerful offenses in the country. He's the focal point of it. Like I say, someone that every time he touches the ball, he can rip one off in whatever facet. If you give him a jet sweep, play him at the running back, play him as a returner, play him as a receiver. Yeah, it would be an insult to call him a gadget.
Yeah, oh God, yeah, absolutely. Like Ricky White, out of everybody, I want him on the Lions. Again, Dave Fipple love him. Four block kicks this year. He's a guy he's tall, he's lanky, he's quick. There's a reason he gets in there and is able to block all this. Like he'll cut his teeth in special teams and do everything you need him to. But his run blocking is superb. The scheme is difficult, but he can execute it really well. And then on the outside, he's just such a dangerous threat. His contested catch rate is really good. And, it's just this all-round facet to danger that he brings. So Ricky White is one of the players I would love for us to draft out of this lot. So I'm going to be very closely watching him. And if you've not watched him play yet, I would recommend that you do. He is incredible. Brent did ask us a question very quickly about, because we're talking about wide receivers. He just asks how many wide receivers do you reckon are drafted in the first round this year? Now, I've been very
Not
good.
many.
I've been very good with this in recent years. So, like the year there was like eight of them, I said there was going to be up about seven or eight, and then last year I said there'd be a few less than there were. I don't know. I feel like maybe
It
what
don't feel strong.
th- three, maybe. I mean, three, four. Because I think there's a dearth of offensive linemen in there. There's going to be a oh
Well, it depends. What's Travis Hunter?
yeah. Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah, wide
What are they going to
receivers
put
or
him on the
wide
board?
receiver hybrids.
What do they put him on the board as?
Because I mean, Tetiora will go.
Yeah, so
Let's
Tessier
just
is,
let's
is a
just
lock.
say for
Right.
the purpose of this, we'll say Travis Hunter is a wide receiver
Yeah.
for the
And then you
purpose
got
of this,
McMillan.
and McMillan.
Does Luther Burden go in the first round?
I think Luther Burden goes in the first round.
I think Trey Harris should go in the first round.
See, I think Eli Kayamana should go in the first round, but I don't think he will.
I think Trey and Iron Man are both going in the second round.
Right. So what are we saying? Three? Is there anyone else up there? I don't.
I don't feel like there's another first round
No.
caliber receiver.
The trouble is the receiver rush in recent years. Everybody wants the next receiver on a rookie contract, and everyone wants that fifth year option. So the position's been upgraded in value. I'll make a
Uh,
conservative estimate.
Igbuka.
Booker. Ugh, no, I don't.
I don't know. Like six. Well, I don't know if he's going to declare.
Right, I'm gonna set a hard four here. I don't think there's gonna be more than four.
No. Then you've got guys like say it's difficult. You've got like Tez Johnson. You've got the first round production
Yeah,
and the talent.
I think the pre-draft process might change things,
Yeah,
but
the combine. One of these guys will probably sneak into the first round.
yeah, I think I've got my three guarantor, providing Hunter is one, and then I got someone else sneaking in. But I just don't think there's gonna be a rush on edge players this year. Like there's gonna be a ton of edge players pushed up into the first. Like your Razira Wakus and Sawyers and stuff will probably gonna get up there. So yeah,
Like I say, you've got those top 50 guys. You've got like say you've got Isaiah Bond. You've got Matthew Golden. One of them has a good combine. They probably sneak into the first round.
that's
But
the
it'll all
problem.
depend on how well they test.
Yeah, we reserve the right to change these, but for now we reckon about four. Hopefully that answers that one. Right, let's move on because we got a few bits to go through. We've still got a lot to go through. Tight ends up next. So we've got Jalen Conyers from Texas Tech, Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame, Rivaldo Fairweather from Auburn, Oronde Gadsden II from Syracuse, Luke Lackey from Iowa, Caden Prescorn from Mississippi, Ole Miss, Carter Runyon from Towson, and Benjamin Eurosek from Georgia. So we'll split these into two groups of four. Jalen Conyers from the Texas Tech Red Raiders, 6'4", 265, 1,155 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns, 11 yards per reception. He's actually a running back as well, 100 330 rushing yards, three rushing touchdowns, and he has a passing touchdown as well. He has 10 career passes. So this is a guy they like to use of trick plays and throwing the ball and all. His run blocking's 80. His pass blocking's 75. He's got a very good special teams resume. Jalen Conyers looks good there. Mitchell Evans, of course, we know the receiving threat for Notre Dame. His career's been plagued by injuries and not being able to get going. 6'5", 260, 900 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, 12 yards per reception, 58 run blocking, 65 pass blocking, vastly experienced special teamer. Then we've got Rivaldo Fairweather from Auburn. He's 6'4", 252 pounds. He's a receiving threat. 1,607 yards, 13 touchdowns, 13 yards per reception. Run blocking's 55, pass blocking's 55, doesn't play special teams. And to end up the first half of these, Aronde Gadsden the second, the Swiss Army knife from Syracuse, 6'5", 236, nearly just a smidge under 2,000 receiving yards, 14 touchdowns, 14 yards per catch, 65 run block, 67 pass block, done a lot of special teams work. I mean, there's some serious potential in this group. A lot of people talk about the Titans, but Konya has just an all-round tight end is great. Mitchell Evans, we know can be a good receiving back, but it's the injuries. Will they hold him back? And Aronde Gadsden would have declared last year if not for his serious injury, though. Some seriously good prospects here. Gadsden still remains serially underrated.
Yeah, Gadsden. If you want a receiving tight end that you're going to put in the slot, Aronde Gadsden's your man. Like, so he'll operate on the end of the line, in line, and he can also, just fan him out. He's going to be an extra receiver. Like I say, he's got a good frame. He's got great hands. He braces himself for impact very well. He's a guy that is readily available. He was a huge part of Syracuse offense. Like I say, he's a big guy. And the middle, that kind of ballpark just between, like say, the linebackers and safeties is really like his hunting ground. He does incredibly well there. He's able to stretch the field, and he's got a knack of going up high and getting the ball. Got a very good high point. Like say, Mitchell Evans has got the talent. He's got the pedigree. He's got the size, the speed, the hands. For one reason, I'd like to say it's not come together. I say injuries, like say the things have held him back. Like say he could be a star in the NFL. We've seen flashes of it and glimpses, but lack of consistency. I know Conyers well because 3 years at Arizona State.
Yeah.
He was a good part of their offense. He's good for 35, 40, 45 catches a year. Like you say, he's average build, can block, like you say, he's decent. He's a kind of like the security guy that you say that you want from a tight end. And then Fairweather, like I say, it kind of feels like at Auburn. He's never been used massively as a receiver. Like I say, he's had to block, like I say, everywhere he's been as well. The receptions, they just don't really warrant, despite 5 years of play. Doesn't have the numbers compared to some guys because he's like I said, he's probably been more of a traditional tight end and he's not been fanned out or expanded out as much here. There's a good mix here, primarily of guys that are all receiving threats.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the absolute blockers, maybe not so. And then the next four, well, the next one is Luke Lackey from Iowa, 6'6",
The blocker.
247. Yeah, he's not Sam Laporta or TJ Hawkinson when it comes to a receiver. 877 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns, 12 yards per reception. His run blocking's 52, his pass blocking's 60. Below average special teams resume for him. And we've got Caden Prieskorn from Ole Miss, 6'6", 255, a mismatched weapon if ever there were any. 1,500 receiving yards, 14 touchdowns, 14 yards per reception. 61 in the run blocking, 52 in the pass blocking. Very experienced special teamer. Carter Runyon, we already mentioned in the Hula Bowl preview. He's the Towson Tigers FCS upstart. He's been getting a lot of rave reviews from what I've seen of him so far. And then we got Benjamin Urosek, the former Stanford tight end who went to Georgia for a year. 6'4", 245 pounds, 1,500 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, 12.5 yards per reception, 61 run block, 63 pass block. So the blocking's decent, and he is a high level special teamer as well. I mean, this I mean, certainly with Jurasek, it feels like we've not seen even close to what he's capable of because he just made the wrong move in terms of showcasing his receiving instincts. But then, you've got Prescorn in there as well, who's really good. Like, again, this seriously talented, but maybe not had the chance to fully show it in the system they've been in. But nonetheless, some really talented guys here.
Yeah. Jurasek, like I say in 2021, he was a star. He was one of the best freshmen in the country when he hit that Stanford team. And it's been, to be polite, it's been a car crash. Like I say, decent second year, dropped off the face of the earth, and then yeah, terrible move to Georgia. He's only done it for the profile and to try and win a ring. I get it, but for draft stock, didn't help him whatsoever. Didn't see the field, couldn't unseat Oscar Delp as the starter. Like I said, didn't make a factor in the block game. Very, like I say, in general, when he was on the field, he wasn't making a difference, or he was on the sideline watching. Like I said, it feels like a guy that really will be a forgotten man. I'd be very surprised at this point if he does get drafted. Caden
Oh yeah.
Prescorn, like I say, really good career. Like I say, he's big, he's strong, he can block. Like I say, when I say experience, this guy will be 26 in September. He's already got a wife and two children. This guy is a working man already and got a family. Like I say, he's older than nearly all of these guys. He's vastly more experienced. Like I say, he's not even been a focal point of the Ole Miss offense because they've just been so powerful in recent years, but he's been a good contributor. Like I say, he can block. Like I say, he's a big guy. Like I say, he's a very well-rounded guy. Carter Runyon, just 2 years, 6'6", 235, big, tall, slender tight end. Probably one of the best receiving threats, maybe of the whole group, 2 consistent years. And as you say, Luke Lachey, whether it's been timing, like I say, he's just missed the window of the passing threats. He's a blocker. He's not a route runner. The hands aren't there. The acceleration's not there. Yeah, like I say,
Yeah.
he's a rundown blocker. Like I say, he needs to work on the pass game, and it's never really materialized at his time as a Hawkeye.
No, it hasn't indeed. Don't think we're going to see this one on our roster anytime soon, but still, certainly a lot of potential. Again, keep your eyes on Carter Runyon. The Towson Tiger is making waves in the pre-draft process. Moving on to the offensive line. There's a lot of them, so we'll just do them five at a time. So we're going to start off. We've got Bryce Cable Dew. He's from the Kansas Jayhawks. He's 6'6", 315 pounds. His rep count, 2,400 snaps at right tackle, 603 at left tackle. He's given up 11 sacks, 6 QB hits, and 63 QB hurries over his career. His run blocking 76. His pass blocking is 80 in 2024 at left tackle. He moved across this year, playing the blind side and had a tremendous year there. Then we've got the Giant. So Gerard Christian Lichtonen from Oregon State. He's their left tackle. He is 6'9" and 329 pounds. He's played 2,200 career snaps at left tackle and 51 at right tackle. He's given up 12 sacks, 12 quarterback hits, and 52 QB hurries given up. In 2024, he's had a damn good year with the Beavers. His run blocking was 77. His pass blocking was 86. He had a horrible year with Colorado last year. He gave up like 8 sacks and 9 quarterback hits at left tackle. He's moved. The move worked for him. We've got Jack Conley from the Boston College Eagles. He is 6'7", 325 pounds. So he's got 222 snaps at left tackle, 709 at right guard. For 2024, that's where he's played 736 at right tackle. He's given up 13 sacks, 12 quarterback hits, 51 QB hurries in his career. Run blocks 60, pass blocks 58. Dalton Cooper, we mentioned the big ass left tackle from Oklahoma State. We did about him in the Hula Bowl. And then we've got another Cooper. We've got Tyler Cooper from Minnesota. So mile markers ears will prick up here. He's their left guard. So he's 6'6", 310 pounds. 1,000 snaps at left guard, 265 at right guard. He's only ever given up 3 sacks, 1 quarterback hit, and just 11 quarterback hurries in his career. Run blocks 72, pass blocks 74. So I mean, we got some big guys here, right? 6'9" is absolutely huge. Obviously, Jack Conley's coming from a Boston college system, well known for its quarterbacks. But Tyler Cooper, we've talked about this Minnesota team a lot this year. He's another one of this fantastic offensive line who've looked after Max Brosma really well. And then we got Dalton Cooper back again, who you love as well.
Yep, both Coopers. They've both got, like I say, versatility. They've both got years of experience. They've both, like I say, been part of Big Ten and Big 12 honorable mentions. They're both very good academically. They're both well-rounded, well-respected. Like I say, off of this, like I say, I love to see guys like I say that are absolute giants. They always scare the life out of me because sometimes it can just work against them and it's so hard for them. Especially like I say, to get down low on their pad level. It's usually a nightmare. But some of them, especially in the run game, they can be absolute maulers because like I say, they're literally tanks. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how he does. They'll be looking to see how comfortable he is moving forward and back, and just how good he deals with the smaller guys once they get underneath him. How does he deal with that? Because usually leverage is the one thing that kind of undoes you because it's gravity, it's balance, it's something like say that you've got to work hard and say, yeah, he's got to prove the doubters wrong that he's too big, and that is a thing on the offensive line, people.
Yeah, absolutely. But like he's been like I know Oregon State are not playing the hardest schedule this year, but he's been great for them. So like his size alone will entice someone. He'd make Manu look small. He's 5 inches taller than me, which is crazy. I'm 6'4", and I would be looking up at him there. But yeah, Tyler Cooper is one to look out for. The guy who's really taken my fancy, though, on the offensive line during this process is in the next group. So we've got Brandon Crenshaw Dixon from Florida. He's 6'7", 322 pounds. His rep count is at 1,200 snaps at left tackle, 1,900 snaps at right tackle. He's only ever given up 7 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and 45 QB hurries in his career. Career 74 run blocks, 79 pass blocking. This guy has shown out on this team. He's been the right tackle for a little while now. I absolutely love him. I think he's incredibly well trained. He's technically gifted as they come. He's got the size, he's got the speed. He does it in both facets of the game, and I've become infatuated with him very quickly. But yeah, Crenshaw Dixon from Florida is in. We've got Joshua Gray from the Oregon State Beavers. Again, another Oregon State guy, 6'4", 310 pounds. His rep count, 3,000 snaps at left tackle, 860 at left guard, which he played in 2024 to make way for the behemoth we just mentioned. He moved inside. 7 sacks, 24 QB hits, 51 QB hurries given up in his career. Run blocks at 80, pass blocks at 62. Then we've got a center, Gus Hartwig from Purdue. He's 6'5", 305 pounds, 3,200 snaps at center. He's got a couple of hundred at right guard. He's given up 7 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, some 44 QB hurries, 80 grade pass blocking for his career, 65 for run blocking. Then we've got Joe Huber from Wisconsin. He's 6'5", 310 pounds. He's played 800 snaps at left guard, 765 snaps at right guard, 850 at right tackle. He's given up 5 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, 42 hurries over his career. Run blocks at 67, pass blocks at 76. I mean, this next four, I mean, Oregon State, we saw with Fuaga last year. This is NFL caliber guys. Joshua Gray is in there. Gus Hartwig, we talk about centers been bad. Like this Purdue team's been ranked for a long time now. He has been exceptional and probably one of the better centers in this draft here. Huber from Wisconsin. I mean, these are names you won't have heard of so far, but these are guys who are more than capable of coming up and being starters in the NFL.
Yeah. Schools as well that you often associate with producing good offensive linemen. Like I say, you've got Oregon State's, you've got Wisconsin. Like I say, in recent years, great. Like I said last year, Tanner Bartolone. Like I say, made his name at this stage as well. Like I say, Huber. Like I say, nearly 900 snaps at 3 different positions. Like I say, someone that they're very comfortable to just move around constantly, fill in where needed. Like I say, someone that's very respectable, that has done a lot of homework to play like positions that constantly, like say you've got to have your head in the playbook. You need to know what's coming from every side and every angle, and you need to know how to recognize a defense as well. to call out what you see. So yeah, he's someone that will like his chances at next level with that level of versatility.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some of these guys who really starting to get on my radar now. I really do like them. The next group, we got Nash Jones from Texas State. He's 6'5", 320 pounds, 2,300 career snaps at left tackle, 869 at left guard, where he played this year, 400 at right tackle as well. He's given up 11 sacks, 18 quarterback hits, 52 hurries, but his run blocking grade 70, his pass block is 74, high discipline in both. We got one of my big draft crushes, Drew Kendall. He's the Boston College center, 6'4", 299 pounds, obviously son of Pete Kendall, who was a 1996 first round draft pick by the Seahawks, coming out of the behemoth of offensive line production, which is Boston College. Pure center, 2,500 career snaps there. He's given up just 5 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, and 26 hurries, 26 pressures in his career he's given up. That's it. 70 in the run block, 77 in the pass block. Then I got a Wolfpack. Tim McKay, he's our right guard slash right tackle. 6'4", 312 pounds, 1,100 snaps at right guard, 1,500 at right tackle. Just given up 10 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, some 52 quarterback curries in his career. Run blocks at 70. He's a really good run blocker. 66 for his pass blocking. Then we've got Luke Newman from Michigan State. He's 6'4", 315 pounds. As Michigan State's left tackle, 2,200 snaps there, although he played at left guard this year just gone, 739 snaps there. He's only ever given up 7 sacks and he's never given up a QB hit other than that. Just 29 pressures on his career there. Run blocks at 75, pass blocks at 78. So again, right, we've got a dynasty center here. Drew Kendall's damn good. Some smaller school prospects, but a Spartan I never knew nothing about either. But he's had a damn good career on a poor team.
Yeah, like so we've got guys here that have got long experience careers, and yeah, giving up very few giving up very few hurries, very few sacks. They've been very productive on teams that you wouldn't associate have been producing good low linemen because they've been struggling to run the ball or in general protect their QB. Like I say, some these guys were holding their own on their line. They were not the weak link in the chain. And yeah, Middlebury, that's interesting. Like I say, don't know where it is, don't know what level really it is, but that's someone like I say that could really make a name for himself, Thomas Perry. I say come out of
Oh, and
nowhere potentially.
oh, about that he was coming up next. So yeah, so we've got Thomas Perry from Middlebury College Panthers. He's 6'3", 317 pounds. The Division 3 molecular biologist. I went and found out what his master was. He is doing a doctorate in molecular biology. He's an offensive lineman. As far as I can make out, he's a guard slash tackle. He's 6'3", 317 pounds. He's the first player in Middlebury's history to ever be invited to the Shrine Bowl. This is a rarity, but he's not following in untoward herd steps because just a few years ago, a young grizzly bear out of Wisconsin, Whitewater, by the name of Quinn Miners took this path through the draft, and he just became one of the highest paid guards in the NFL, which feels like a big thing there for him. But I've seen him, so this guy is powerful. People will use the Miners analogy because he's a Division 3 guy, but he actually does play like Quinn Miners. So his core strength, his power, I mean, he will just drive guys back with pure ferocity. Like he's impressive in the drive. He finishes guys off as well. He just doesn't, he will throw you into the dirt. He will make sure that you know that you've been absolutely pancaked by him. All the film that I've been able to see of him, which is not much, he is dominant as they come. As I say, even though he's just 6'3", 370, he's one of these powerful interior linemen who's just going to absolutely kick your ass. And he's really athletic as well. He's got the traits to work with. He's got the athleticism needed to survive at the next level, and he's got the power needed to survive at the next level. As with a Division 3 guy, though, obviously the technique needs to be brought on. Obviously, the level of opposition is going to be far superior to what he's ever faced in his life. But I mean, there's no reason to say he can't. So we can't really do much more of a dive on him there because finding out about Division Three players is impossible. But I know the guys at the Draft Network quite like him, and he's got every chance. So yeah, Thomas Perry out of Middlebury College is here. A guy I mentioned during the season, Holland Pierce. So he's the Rutgers left tackle. He's 6'8", 344 pounds. He's played 1,700 snaps at left tackle, 1,500 snaps at right tackle. He's only ever given up 5 sacks, given up 15 QB hits and 50 quarterback hurries. He run blocks at 76. He pass blocks at 75. He was the guy who was watching practice, sat in his car one day and went up to the head coach on the off chance that he might be able to play for them. They gave him a go. He got the job at right tackle, and then he got the job at left tackle a couple of years ago, and he's never looked back. I love Holland Pierce as a prospect. Then we got Issa Pole from Washington State, the Cougars. He's 6'7", 320 pounds. He's played a career at left tackle there. He's only given up 3 sacks and 7 QB hits. This year, he didn't give up a single sack. He only gave up 3 quarterback hits this year. Run blocks at 57, pass blocks at 86. So Issa Pole started out in JUCO, and they plucked him out of JUCO after 2 years and came and straight on the blind side right away in. And that Washington State team's been good in the air raid. You've got to do a lot of pass blocking there in the air raid. So to block at 86 is damn good. And then we've got Xavier Truss from Georgia. He's 6'7", 320 pounds. This dude's been all over. 210 snaps at left tackle, 854 at left guard, 334 at right guard, 1,274 at right tackle, where he's been this year, but he's had to do a lot of injury cover on that Georgia offensive line. Run blocks at 64, pass blocks at 64. He's given up 7 sacks, 7 QB hits in his career. And then the last one for this group, we got Gareth Warren from Lindenwood Lions. They are Division Two. He is 6'6", 332 pounds. Pretty much a career left tackle, 1,300 snaps there, but he's got 700 at left guard as well. He's given up 13 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, and 33 QB pressures, but a lot of them were in his early years. Not a great run blocker, but a really good pass blocker there. So again, we got another little group in there. I love Holland Pierce. I think he's great. Then you've got the small school guys. Issa Poole started in JUCO, came up to Washington State, played really well. Xavier Truss has been a utility man on that Georgia line. Gareth Warren from Lindenwood, the small school O linemen are here to fight.
Yep. These are the guys that will take the most from this because this is the biggest level step up of competition they're ever going to see, really. Going up against all these Div 1 guys that have played at their career at the highest schools. So they're going to try to make a name for themselves. And they're not trying to stand out, they're trying to prove that they fit in. Like I said, if you stand out on the offensive line, you're usually doing something wrong. So really, they just want to blend in and prove that they can hold their own against some of the better interior defensive linemen. And you got guys like Issa Paul, like I say, that are primarily a passing specialist. Kept John Mattia upright and clean all year in one of the most productive passing offenses. He's very comfortable going back. Like I say, he's got leverage. He's able to fang guys around the outside and use that big wingspan to, like I say, not hold but slow guys down. He understands hands and leverage, so he'll someone that will get a lot of looks. A giant, but also a career left tackle as well. Lots of experience behind his belt.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. And then the final four we've got here, one you'll be very familiar with. We've got Trey Weedig from Indiana. He's 6'7", 319 pounds, 182 snaps at left guard, 306 at right guard, but primarily the right tackle, 1,200 snaps there. Only given up 5 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and 26 QB hurries in his career. Run blocks at 75, pass blocks at 70, so good in both aspects. Then we've got Marcus Veer. Or Veer? Is it Veer or Ver? Am I saying it right? Is it Ver? It's
I'd say
German, isn't
there,
it?
yeah.
Marcus Ver from Montana State, the Bobcats. He's 6'4", 300 pounds, 1,001 snaps at right guard, 852 snaps at right tackle. He has never given up a sack in his career. He's given up 1 quarterback hit. He's given up 7 quarterback hurries. His pass blocking is graded at 82. His run blocking is graded at a smidge below 90. So, yeah, take with that what you will. Then we've got another small schooler. We've got Aiden Williams from the Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs. He's 6'6", 295 pounds. They are Division Two. He is a left tackle. He comes from Anchorage in Alaska, so he is an Alaskan. And all I can tell you is this guy, yeah, he's big and he's mean. Draft Diamonds did a very good interview with him. That is, I suggest you go there. That's all I can do. I can only do so much with Minnesota Duluth prospects. So go check out his interview there with Draft Diamonds. It's very insightful and revealing. And then we finish it off with John Williams. He's the left tackle out of Cincinnati. He's 6'5", 320 pounds, 1,800 career snaps there. 5 sacks, 6 quarterback hits given up, and 15 quarterback hurries. He run blocks at 60, but he pass blocks at 80. Obviously, Cincinnati have been dealing with the change from Group of Four to Power Five, so it's been an adventure for him. But I mean, you watch a lot of FCS football, you'll know about Marcus Ver there. Dude's been completely dominant. He'd not let anyone touch his quarterback in his entire time in college.
Nope, star. He won all Big Sky honors at guard and tackle in back-to-back years. So he dominated at both positions. I say he's absolutely by FCS, by PFF standards in this year, he was the fifth in run blocking and first in positive plays. Like I say, by their metrics in the whole of the FCS, which means he doesn't just block, he gets to the next level. Positive plays means he's hitting linebackers, he's hitting corners, he's hitting safeties. This is a guy that you probably want, I'd say, because it's smaller at 6'4", 300 pounds, he's brilliant for the screen game. He's athletic, he's agile, and he's very good at pulling and getting out in front and being a lead blocker. He's very aggressive once he gets past the line of scrimmage. Like I say, he's very decorated at that level, so he's going to do potentially very well in the draft. And someone that probably will lean at a guard next in his career, but he will, like I say, give it a year or two, someone will mold him to take over that role eventually.
Yeah, yeah. It's when you put up numbers like that, then you've got to have something about you. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. I've not seen as much, and then yeah, Mile Marker knows about Minnesota Duluth. I'm guessing he does because he's been a Minnesota fan there. He says they're a hockey school. And this guy's from Alaska, so I wonder why he didn't play hockey for them. But yeah, Aiden Williams out of Minnesota Duluth. Keep an eye for him. And John Williams, aside from when he's making musical scores for films, apparently plays left tackle for the Bearcats as well. But he looks pretty decent. Right, let's switch it over. We've talked about the offense for a while. Let's go on to the defensive side of the ball. And this has been obviously with the defensive line, it's moved between interior and edge. So we start with the interior guys. I'm just trying to pronounce. So we'll break them down into like fours here. I think we can get away with that. So in the interior defensive line prospects at the Shrine Bowl, we've got Tommy Akingbasote from Maryland. He's 6'4", 316 pounds. He's played 104 snaps at nose tackle, 618 at 3 tech, 497 at 5 tech, 21 on the edge. So quite versatile when it comes to where he plays. 40 career quarterback pressures, 5 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and 30 hurries. 83 tackles, 43 run stops, a 19% missed tackle rate, 1 forced fumble, 67 in his run defense. We've got Zeke Biggers from Georgia Tech. He's 6'6", 320 pounds, 286 snaps at nose tackle, over 1,000 at 3 tech. He plays that interior position a little wider. Just 23 quarterback pressures. He's never had a sack, 4 quarterback hits, 19 quarterback hurries. He's in there for the run. 105 tackles, 45 run stops, a 16% missed tackle rate, 7 battered passes, so he gets up and gets the ball when it's going over him. 58 in the run defense, which is not great for someone who doesn't rush the passer. We got Warren Brinson out of Georgia. He's 6'4", 310 pounds. He's another three tech. He's got 95 snaps at nose tackle, 700 at three tech, 360 at five, 70 on the edge, but 63 quarterback pressures, six sacks, 10 quarterback hits, 47 hurries, 71 tackles, 41 run stops, a 15.5% missed tackle rate, 75 run defense on that Georgia line. And then we'll finish this group off with Joe Evans from the UTSA Roadrunners. He's 6'3". He's 335 pounds. He's another three tech, 800 career snaps there, a few at five tech and nose as well. 35 QB pressures. He's got half a dozen sacks, a couple of hits, 27 hurries, 67 tackles, 37 run stops, just a 10% missed tackle rate. His run defense grade is 75. That UTSA line has been good. Yeah, not household names here when it comes to some of these interior guys, right? But you don't get fancy stats from some of these guys. It's all about what they do against the run first.
Yep, all these guys, like I say, are lining up on the inside of the guard. So it's a Zeke Biggers. He's a very tall nose tackle at 6'6". Like I say, he's got an interesting build for an interior pass guy. So brings very little pass rush. Like I say, he's a guy that is there to swallow up space. And as you say, when the QB gets up to pass, he gets in passing lanes. Like I say, he's got good hands, he's got good long arms, and he's able to jump up and he's able to swat balls away. So he's very good and like I say disruptive in that sense there. Warren Brinson, I say pretty experienced, not bad at interior pass rush as a rotation line for the Georgia Bulldogs, someone to bring in at relief. Like I say on those pass rush downs or to take off and give him a break. So he's been pretty good as a rotation, like say fourth or fifth or sixth guy across the career. He's playing some big games as well. He's gone up against some stellar competition.
Yeah, that's it. You can sometimes get lost in the shuffle there. So having a Georgia lineman, you never go wrong with that. They're always in there. The next guy's going to get his own segment. Kenneth Grant from Michigan. Thank you. You're welcome, Brent. We'll give him his time to shine. 6'3", 340 pounds. He's had 300 reps at nose tackle. 734 at the three tech, 52 quarterback pressures, 8 sacks, 4 hits, 40 hurries, 69 tackles, 41 run stops. His missed tackle rate is 5%. That is it. 8 batted passes, 1 interception. Experienced special teamer. Jim Harbaugh himself called him, I believe the term was a gift from God. And obviously, him and Mason Graham have lit things up the last 2 years there. Now, I see the thing going around where people are saying Kenneth Grant is better than Mason Graham. If you see anyone doing that, they're clout chasing. He's great, but Mason Graham is even better. But Kenneth Grant, he deserves his own little bit here, right? And he's declaring early. He's only had 2 years as a starter, really. He's not the most experienced guy in the world, but what him and Mason Graham have done these last 2 years, somebody's going to pick him, and somebody's going to pick him relatively early as well. You've got to feel, and if it's a certain team out in Los Angeles with a certain guy named Jim in charge of him, you wouldn't be surprised.
No, because that line needs work. They could be about to lose Khalil Mack and some pass rush. So it makes a lot of sense to go plug a hole on that charge line. But yeah, he's formed a great tandem with Graham. Like I say, he's been very disruptive. He's not the biggest, not fastest, but he's supremely physical. He's got a strong motor as well. Like I say, he's kind of those guys relentless. He's very hard to push down. He will keep pushing. He'll keep bringing it. Like I said, eventually he is able to wear down and overcome the bigger, stronger guys. So he's very physical. Like I said, he's very aggressive at the point of attack. Like I said, he's got the first step. Like I said, he's got the hands that can give you the pop. He can bring the bit of the mean streak as well, which I like about him. So yeah, he's someone, like I say, he's been a very good complementary piece, and they've helped each other, Grant and Graham. They've done a well. One doesn't succeed without the other, so it'll be interesting to see how they do without each other. Why they end
Yeah.
up on the same team?
Yeah, they are. Put it this way, they are both special talents. I'll give them that. But Mason Graham is just he's insanely good. Like he's going to be a top 5 pick in the draft, and rightly so. Kenneth Grant will probably go. Maybe he could sneak into round 1 odds are it's probably going to be early day two, but he's still going to be a damn good player for somebody. I mean, if it's here in Detroit, I wouldn't say no, but we'll we'll see with that. In terms of the next group we got up on the interior, we've got Eric Gregory from Arkansas. He's 6'4", 320. He's played 200 snaps at nose tackle, nearly 1,000 at three tech, 500 at five tech, and 609 on the edge. So this guy is Mr. Dependable, slide up and down the line. 70 career QB pressures. He's got 10 sacks, 16 hits, over 40 hurries, 127 tackles. That's a lot for a DT. 74 run stops, 12% missed tackle rate, two battered passes, an interception, highly decorated on special teams as well. We've got Jared Harrison Hunt from SMU, part of that stellar defensive line that got them to the ACC title game this year. He's played 200 snaps in the interior at nose tackle, 1,300 at three tech, and 401 at five. 113 quarterback pressures, 16 sacks, 7 hits, 90 hurries, 125 tackles, 85 run stops, a 17% missed tackle rate, but he's got a forced fumble and an interception. 8 of his 16 sacks came the year just gone, so his career productivity has gone through the roof this year at SMU. We got Tonka Hemingway from South Carolina. He's 6'3", 218. He's a three tech again, 1,100 snaps there, but he's played 500 on the edge. He's played 200 at five tech, so you can slide him up and down. 87 quarterback pressures, 11 sacks, 16 hits, 60 hurries, 117 tackles, 67 run stops, 18% missed tackle rate, 14 battered passes, 3 forced fumbles. So a lot of disruption there. And then the last one in this group, Cam Horsley from Boston College, 6'4", 306 pounds. A vastly experienced 400 snaps at nose tackle, 1,800 at three tech, 110 at five and edge, 70 QB pressures for him, 6 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 60 quarterback hurries, 167 tackles, 97 run stops, just an 8% missed tackle rate, 11 battered passes as well. I mean, we talk about this group. This is the group of productivity guys who have DTs and interior guys. You don't get as many tackles in there, but Harrison Hunt has been a menace at SMU this year. Cam Horsley has been on that Boston College line for years and has been a menace. Tonka Hemingway, sorry, does as much productivity through the air as he does on the quarterback. There's some guys with some serious talent in this group.
Yeah, I like Tonka. I like him a lot. He's probably the most rounded, might be the most well-rounded of the guys we've named so far. Like you say, sacks. Like you say, passes defended, getting in passing lanes, general tackles. Like you say, he's very good at wrapping up. He's physical. He brings the juice. Like you say, you can kick him from outside to inside, vice versa. He's very comfortable in different techniques. Like say, put the hands in the dirt. Like say, give him one dirt and then ask him to rush the passer on certain downs. So he's someone that has got experience doing a bit of everything. Like say, and he'll do anything that's asked him. That'll help him as well, depending on like say schemes. Like say, a 3-man or a 4-man front. Like say, if you've got that versatility, you've got a good job of fitting in at the next level. If you can fit on multiple schemes and multiple fronts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some great ones in there. Hemingway, Horsley, like the Boston College line prospects on either side of the ball are great in this draft, so always check them out. Harrison Hunt's had a career year there, so some seriously good prospects on the line to look for here in the Shrine Bowl. Then the next group we've got Nash Hutmacher from Nebraska. He's 6'4", 310. 664 snaps at nose tackle, 487 at three, so he's more of a true nose than a sort of a lot of these guys. 43 quarterback pressures, 9 sacks, 9 quarterback hits. That's not bad for a nose tackle. 63 tackles altogether, 42 run stops, 15% missed tackle rate, and a battered pass. We got JJ Pegues from Ole Miss. He's 6'2", 325 pounds, 400 snaps at nose tackle, 900 200 at 3 tech, 200 at 5 tech, 71 quarterback pressures for him, 10 sacks, 9 hits, 52 hurries, 106 tackles, 69 run stops, 11% missed tackle rate, 5 batted passes, another one of these disruptive interior guys. We've got Jordan Phillips out of Maryland. He's 6'3", 320, 500 snaps at nose tackle, 450 at 3 tech. So another interior guy. Only 26 quarterback pressures. He's never had a sack. He's had 7 quarterback hits, 19 hurries. But where he is, he's a run guy. 59 tackles, 31 run stops. His missed tackle rate in college, 3%. Three guys barely missed a damn thing on that Jordan line there. There's just 3 guys in this little group here, but JJ Pegues, you watch Old Miss a lot. You've mentioned Pegues before. Like, he's another of these all-rounded guys in there who potentially got a lot to offer.
Yeah, smaller guy as well. He's not that tall compared to the others. Like I say, he's shorter and a bit stockier. Like I say, he's good at getting after the quarterback. Like I say, he can kind of kick him on the outside. Like I say, he's able to, like I say, doesn't have the athleticism size to win around the outside, but getting up the inside, like I say, that's where you want him to, like I say, use the physicality and kind of burrow his way through the hole. And at worst, get a QB hit or flush the QB out. So he's very comfortable in that sense. And yeah, Phillips, like I say, not a pass rusher. Like I say, doesn't have the finishing skills, doesn't have the arsenal. But like I say, he's a guy that can, like I say, crucial on rundowns. Like I say, he can eat a block. Like say, from like say a fullback or a tight end, shed it, and then still can wrap up and make the tackle. He's very good at disengaging and finishing it if they do run his way.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, doesn't have to be about the fancy stats. Give me a good run blocking DT any day. And then the last 3, we got Nazir Stackhouse from Georgia, 6'3", 320, 660 snaps at nose tackle, 886 at 3 tech. He's primarily their nose guy. They've played him a lot there recently. 28 QB pressures, 3 sacks, 3 hits, 22 hurries, 94 tackles, 50 run stops, only a 10% missed tackle rating, couple of batted passes and an interception as well for him. He is the workhorse who's forgotten about on that Georgia line. We've got Jay Toyer from UCLA. He's 6'3", 325. He's played 460 snaps at nose, 1,000 at 3 tech, 26 QB pressures for him, just 2 sacks and 5 hits, 92 tackles, 48 run stops, 18% missed tackle rating, but 5 battered passes, and 19 of his 26 pressures came this year, so he found a pass rush arsenal this year. This is a guy who's developed late in terms of his pass rushing. And then we finished with CJ West from Indiana, 6'2", 317, 871 snaps at nose, 1,000 at 3 tech, 84 quarterback pressures from the nose and the 3, 9 sacks, 16 hits, 60 hurries, 138 tackles, 85 run stops, 3 batted passes, 2 forced fumbles, 17% missed tackle rate. Again, some good names in here. Stackhouse has won a couple of natties and has been an integral part of that line. CJ West is a pass rushing monster. That Indiana line's been crazy this year because of him. Again, guys who maybe a bit underappreciated.
Yeah, they've got a lot of snaps. These guys have been, like say, these are the veterans, it feels like. They're not flashy, they're not sexy. Like I say, they don't get the stats that a lot of guys have done. They do the dirty work. Like I say, they kind of these guys walk so the other guys can run. Like I say, they take away time, they take away the distractions. Like I say, they do the physical stuff, and that frees up other guys, and that makes them just as important, if not more important.
Yeah, absolutely. Brent goes Boston College Trench U lately. They've always been Trench U. I think they just had a little bit of a down spell, but yeah, Kendall's going to be great. And then, I'd also be looking at Cam Horsley for us as well. These are guys who we need to keep a very close eye on. We'll move into the edge group. We're going a while, so I'm going to list them all out and then maybe go after some of the guys you like first. So we've got Tyler Barron from Miami. We got Sean Martin from West Virginia. We got Tyler Batty from BYU. We got Fadil Diggs from Syracuse. Ethan Downs from Oklahoma. Ahmed Hassanain from Boise State. We got a small school guy, Elijah Ponder from Cal Poly. We've got Antoine Powell Ryland from Virginia Tech. Elijah Roberts from SMU. Key Robinson from Alabama. Braden Swinson from LSU. And Johnny Walker, Black Label, from Missouri. Whiskey joke there. I mean, out of all these guys, like Elijah Roberts was in my team to watch this year at SMU, and what a year he's had. But surely all eyes here are going to be on Hassanin, and like the dude's been a monster at Boise State. Can he do it against better opposition?
I think he can, yeah. For the name to watch for me is Braden Swinson. 8.5 sacks this year, LSU. Like I say, he absolutely jumped off the tape this year. Also, two forced fumbles. Something clicked for him this year. The pass rush. He looked faster. He looked smarter. He looked like say, he looked stronger, like a gained more muscle. He was an integral part to that line. Like I say, he was very good off the edge. He had explosion. He had a first step. He had some violent hands. Ultimately, his finishing, it just got so much better. Like I say, when he got to the quarterback, he was consistently bringing him down. Like I say, not just getting the hurries and the hits, he was making sure they didn't escape. And like I say, looked a much more aggressive, more well-rounded finished product this year.
Oh yeah, 100%. I do like him.
Tyler Batty doesn't get the credit, but like I say, how he's been so good over the years for BYU. Like you say, he's an integral part of a guy he's big, he's strong, he got versatility as well. Like you say, someone's very experienced because he's nearly 25. Like I say, he's been around a long time, and like, he doesn't have all the numbers, but I say they wouldn't have got here without him. Like I say, he's been a long time veteran, like he's experienced only 16 career sacks, but he's done a lot of good stuff there. He's been integral to everything you want to do. Fantastic in the run game. Like he's very well rounded. He doesn't sacrifice trying to get to the quarterback when he's still got to set the edge.
Yeah, I mean, this age group is very much you've probably not heard of them, but you should do because some of these guys have been great. So with Hassanin, from Boise, like he's 6'3", 271, like another inch or two, that frame is absolutely perfect. But 24 sacks in the last two seasons for him. He's got 120 or 115 pressures altogether. Another 25 QB hits for him. His tackling was an issue the other year, but it's gotten better this year. But like you've seen how dominant that Boise team has been, hasn't he? And the Mountain West has produced a treasure trove of edge rushers in the last few years. Like he does figure to be the next, but he could really well benefit from this process more than anybody.
Yeah, because he gets an opportunity to go up against the experienced power four left tackles. Like I said, he's going up against the caliber of offensive linemen he'll go up against. I mean, they didn't wasn't bad this year, but it's better. Like I say, he's going up against some like say guys like say Issa Pauls, something like that. Like I say, a career pass pro. That'll be a very stern test for someone like him. Like I said, if
Yeah.
he does well and wins against them, then he will start to get his name put out there as a guy that, like I say, isn't just a small school star, can go up against the big boys and still find success.
Yeah, and then Elijah Roberts is the other big name to watch out for in here, the SMU edge. He's 6'4", 295 pounds. His last 2 years for SMU, since they won the American, got to the Atlantic Coastal Championship game, he's had 21 sacks, 131 overall pressures, three batted passes, four forced fumbles, a whole boatload of tackles in there. He's another who's got to clean it up a little bit, but. He was a cast off from Miami who didn't want him, and it's his career arc's gone there. He's potentially one of the most explosive edge rushers in this lot here, so you've got to keep an eye out on Elijah Roberts there as well. And then in terms of we do have a small school guy in there. I don't know how good your Cal Poly is, right? Is your Cal Poly knowledge any good?
Nope. They're a smaller school. Like I say, they really struggle.
Yeah, so Elijah Ponder, he is 6'3", 245 pounds, so a little on the lighter side. Maybe you move him in a little bit, but he's a 5-year guy from Cal Poly. Another who's had a really good last 2 years. So he's got 16 sacks in that period. They've been using him in coverage as well this year, so I think they're trying to teach him how to drop back off the edge as well. But career really great run defender, been graded 77, 69, 75, 75. Couple of big years with his pass rush there. So that's the little upstart from Cal Poly, who's there. Elijah Ponder. Keep an eye on him, but you've got to figure his size might implement him a bit. Let's move into the linebackers, and oh man, there's a lot of talent in here and a lot of guys that we like. So we've got Carson Bruner from Washington, Teddy Buchanan, sorry, from Cal. We've got Jamin Dumar Johnson from Kentucky. We've got Jay Higgins from Iowa, Chandler Martin from Memphis, Francisco Mauigoa from Miami, Kane Medrano from UCLA. We've got Deshaun Pace from UCF, Chris Paul Jr. from Ole Miss, Greg Penn III from LSU, Aaron Smith from South Carolina State. So we got an FCS guy in here, Jackson Woodard from UNLV, and DeRicky Wright from Vanderbilt. I mean, names who, if you've listened to this pod, Ryan, over the years, you will have heard a lot of, but I mean, the one that always just sticks out for me here is Jackson Woodard, right? Absolutely love him. 6'3", 230 pounds, former Razorback. He's had 2 years now at UNLV, and man, oh man, how great has he been? His run defense grade was 90 this year. It's just shot out of there, but he's got 7 sacks. He's got 46 pressures from the linebacker position. He's got 4 battered passes. He's got 180 tackles with just a 12% missed tackle rate. He's got like 115 run stops. He's got 5 interceptions, 12 pass breakups. This year alone, he's had 4 interceptions and 11 PBUs. He's been one of the best coverage linebackers in the nation, and his 2 years at UNLV have completely revived his career. You look at him, there's nothing he can't do. He can cover, he can rush the passer, he's your traditional standard build of a middle linebacker who can just constantly tackle, 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 tackle. And he was one of the most elite graded run defenders in college football this year. This is the do-it-all linebacker for anybody who wants one.
Yeah, he's got the makings and he's got the production, he's got the pedigree to be an every down linebacker, like Fred Warner or Alex Zanzone, a guy that until he gets tired and needs a break, don't really want to leave him off the field because he's as comfortable pretending to blitz and dropping into coverage as he is sitting in the box and diagnosing a run play. He's been outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, there's still some other big names here. We got an Iowa linebacker. We got Jay Higgins.
Yeah,
Like,
very good in coverage. Carson Bruner, to be fair, 300 career tackles, 9 passes defended, and 5 interceptions in his career. He's a coverage linebacker more than he's a run first linebacker. He's very comfortable, and he's barely missed a game in the last 3 years. He's been a leader on that Huskies defense. I very much like him.
yeah, it's you need dependability there. We've got some other good players. So Francisco Mauigoa, I love him from Miami. So he's 6'3", 230 pounds, not dissimilar to the build that Jackson Woodard is. He had a big year last year, had 7 sacks. It's come down a bit this year, but he's still got 9 sacks over the last 2 years. 46 total QB pressures for him. He's put together nearly 200 tackles as well. He's got 3 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, 7 pass breakups. He's another coverage linebacker. There's some good coverage guys, I think, is maybe the theme of this group as well. And then of course Chris Paul Jr. That's a very, I don't
Very
know
highly
why,
respected.
but he's a very well mocked one to the Lions. Whether it's just because he has name value at the moment, this early in the draft process, but people really like Chris Paul from Ole Miss. He's smaller, so he's 6'1", 235, still built like a brick house. So he was an Arkansas Razorback until last year. He was part of the Ole Miss Brigade this year, but I mean, he's had a stunning year, right? PFF graded him at 88. He's had half a dozen sacks, a further 8 quarterback hits. He's had a forced fumble in there. He's had an interception. He's had 4 pass breakups. 4% missed tackle rating on 85 tackles as well, and 54 run stops. Like there's some serious stat setters here, but not this. They're not stat padding. They're incredibly good. Chris Paul is another one of those who could flirt with a round one pick or definitely a day two pick.
He's very well respected in this class, yeah. Like you say, he was integral to the part of that Ole Miss Rebels defense. Like you say, he's smaller, but like you say, he's got speed, he's got vision, he's got strength. Like you say, he's very productive in the backfield as well. He's very comfortable on the blitz, so he's someone that can, like you say, do those, like you say, those stunts, things like that, where you can get a bit creative with him to find up space and get him in there. Yeah, very well rounded. He's got a lot of production. Like you say, he's very experienced and he's a leader as well. Players listen to him, guys look up to him, and coaches trust him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Brent says we're going to have a HBCU show this year. Yes, we will. We always do. The thing with the Legacy Bowl is it's not till mid-February. It's always the latest of the All-Star games. So doing it chronologically, it's always Hula Bowl, Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, HBCU, Legacy Bowl. So yeah, absolutely, we will be doing that. We talked about some HBCU prospects in the Hula Bowl. It's just trying to get a hold of Gerald now that he's a big cat with Morgan State and he's got his job there. So hopefully we'll be able to sort something with him. But yeah, absolutely for sure we'll be doing that. So yeah, linebackers looking incredibly promising here as well in terms of our small school guys. So South Carolina State. One of those schools recently where more and more players have been coming up into the draft cycle out of them. They're not a team to be done away with the Bulldogs. There's a lot of Bulldog teams in there, but he's a 4 year guy from there. He's a 3 year starter. Another who this year has come on strides, his run game has come on phenomenally, but he's got a dozen sacks in his career. He's got 32 pressures altogether. His tackling is awesome. So he's 230 tackles on his career. The last 2 years, while he's been a full-time starter, 6% missed tackle rate. Again, one of these guys who just doesn't miss anything. You know, he gets you. He's like glue. And he's had by far his best year. He had 86 tackles on the year, 41 run stops, a forced fumble, an interception as well. His coverage is pretty decent. He's an all-round guy, so we'll be keeping an eye certainly there on Aaron Smith out of South Carolina State. Some seriously good talent coming out. Right, we've got two groups to go. We got the corners and the safeties. Oh, we got the specialists, but we don't deep dive the specialists because, these shows take long enough as it is already. So at corner, oh boy, let's try and break these down. And I've got some notes on these here, so I need to get these in. Let's break this first group down. So we've got Zay Alexander from LSU, we've got Kobe Bryant from Kansas, and we've got his partner in crime, Mello Dotson from Kansas as well. We've got Jordan Clark out of Notre Dame. We've got O'Donnell Fortune out of South Carolina. We've got Zar Frazier out of UTSA, Jamari Harris out of Iowa, and then we'll finish it with Marcus Harris out of Cal for this group. But Rye, potentially one of the places to start here. I know you've certainly had your eye on the Kansas pair
Yeah,
for a while now. So you've got Kobe Bryant. He's 6'1", 175 pounds. They're both outside corners. He spent his entire 4 years at Kansas, elite graded run defender most years, 144 tackles, 48 run stops. His career missed tackle rating's 14%, but it was just 8 in 2024. So it's something that's really come on. 4 forced fumbles. He's given up 58% completion, so 99 receptions on 171 throws, 13 interceptions, 18 pass breakups. And his partner in crime, Mello Dotson, is 6'1", 190, little bulkier. He's been at Kansas for 5 years. He's got nearly 200 career tackles, 53 run stops, a 19% missed tackle rating. He doesn't tackle as well. 2 forced fumbles. He's 61% on completions, so he's 138 of 224, 12 interceptions, 18 pass breakups. But both of them noticeably have had big career arcs in the last 2 years, and these two guys have been part of the Leopold revolution there in Kansas. And I know you're very impressed with the pair of them.
yeah. I'm higher on Dotson because he's the playmaker. He's got 4 pick sixes in 2 years. He has got home run ability. He's got a fast 40 as well. He has got speed to burn. When the ball is in his hands, like I say, he's very fast. I say the tackling is not he's not his strong point. Like you said, that will go to Kobe. But Dotson is an outside corner, understands leverage. He's got the ability to jump routes, and he uses every one of that 6 feet one. If he can gain 10, 15 pounds at 6'1", that's a perfect build for an NFL corner. Like I said, over the last couple of years, he's looked ready. Like I say, a team that has been struggled for nearly all of his time there. Like I say, he's been productive. He's been reliable every year. Like I say, he's a strong leader. He's a guy that's well respected. The younger guys look around him, they trust him, and they look to him for guidance. And like I say, he's battle tested. They both are. They're ready for the NFL. Like I say, all these years as a Jayhawk, and yeah, they've had to put up with a lot of crap. Like I say, and they didn't once consider leaving. Like I say, so that yeah, they've got a lot of experience behind them, and like I say, they've both been very productive in every asset of the game.
Yeah, like the Kansas pair are certainly ones to watch out for here. I mean, your boy's in there. He wasn't your boy this year, but I mean, Jordan Clark,
He
six
looked even better this year.
years. I know he had a bit of an iffy natty game, but everyone has a bad one. And I don't even think that touchdown was on him, but he again vastly two and a half thousand snaps in college for him. He's always been a good coverage guy. He's had a tremendous year with Notre Dame. I mean, what do you make for his prospects potentially?
It's not as a corner. He's only ever played his best stuff for me in the slot as a safety. One, because he's
Hmm.
smaller, but two, like I say, because he needs to be closer to the line of scrimmage. He's a strong physical tackler, but out in space, like I say, yeah, he's not an outside guy. I think you'd be putting him in trouble asking him to play out there. But yeah, he's very good. Super experienced, like you say, 5 years at Arizona State. Like you say, it was sad to see him leave. I'd love to see what he'd done this year because, like I say, he was part of a great secondary. Like you say, he's a good guy. He's a strong leader. He's very physical despite his size. Like I say, he can get past breakups. He's always been good in and around the ball. So he's someone like I say that he's a good guy and he's got versatility. He will play it any way you ask him to. Like I say, he's very versatile. And like I say, he spends a lot of time on the field. Doesn't take a lot of it off.
No, no, I agree. I think he's going to do well. I think someone's certainly going to take a liking to him in this process. In terms of this group, the guy who's actually really caught my eye, who I've never really done a great deal on before. So you've got Zay Alexander out of LSU, and Ryan's mentioned some this for a change. There are quite a few underrated prospects out of LSU this year. He's 6'2", 194 pounds. So what really intrigues me is he's a 5-year guy. He spent his first 3 years at Southeast Louisiana, so he was an FCS guy who got picked up by the bigger Louisiana team, obviously the Tigers, and he's basically been a starter since he got there, and he's had a really underrated season. He's another outside corner, so he's got 180 career tackles, 42 run stops, a 7% missed tackle rate. That's tiny for an outside corner. He's given up 128 receptions on 242 targets. That's only 53%. That is good as well. 13 interceptions, 20 pass breakups. He's had a really good year for LSU, and I'm very intrigued by this guy now, the way that he moves, his physicality, and again, just his overall technique. One of the best tacklers you'll find in the corner group here. So Zay Alexander is a name you need to watch out for here. He's from LSU, but he was born and bred at Southeast Louisiana. Small school guy who's just taken to life at the elite level, with no shrift at all. So that was the first group there. The next group, so we've got some small school guys now. We've got Tyron Herring from Delaware. We've got Garnett Hollis Jr. from West Virginia. Elijah Huzzy from North Carolina. Jalen Kimber from Penn State. Robert Longerbeam from Rutgers. And we'll finish this group with Jason Marshall from Florida. So, I mean, in terms of the small school guy, Tyler Herring is from Delaware, the Fighting Blue Hens, who are coming up to the CUSA next year, so you'll hear a lot more about them. So he spent 2 years at Dartmouth, he spent 2 years at Delaware, another pure outside corner, plays a little in the box as well, but at 6'2", 200 pounds, he's got a good frame from the outside. 130 tackles, 32 run stops for him, 15% for his missed tackle rate, a forced fumble. He's 81 of 136 on completions in his career, so he gives up about 60%, a little bit high, but meh. He's got 5 interceptions, 9 pass breakups there as well. Anyone out of Hollis, Huzzy, Kimber, Longerbeam? Obviously, Rutgers. Rutgers
Longerbeam's
is
been very good this year. After they lost Max Melton, he's
Rutgers
really
is
stepped up this year.
DBU.
Yeah, he's 24 now, nearly 25, so he's older, but he's very experienced. He's been a really crucial part of what the Scarlet Knights have wanted to do this year. He's good year, but down year. But yeah, like after losing his running mate, he's kind of had to pick up the slack. So he's had a lot on his plate this year.
Yeah, so he's a four. Well, he's a 2 year starter. I mean, he's had 4 good. He's got over 2,100 snaps for Rutgers. He's got a couple of sacks, so they do blitz him from time to time. 150 career tackles for him, 41 run stops. I mean, his coverage numbers are good. 110 receptions given up on 218 targets. That's like bang on 50%. So you're never gonna complain about that. 5 interceptions, 22 pass breakups. I mean, his last 2 years, it's been 3 interceptions, 16 pass breakups. So, I mean, highly productive, right? And again, Rutgers, you can't sniff at them for their draft prospects right now because they're doing well.
Yeah, like I said, they're producing high level NFL talent, and that I think for me that starts with the coaching staff. They're very well respected, the Rutgers coaching staff, and they get these guys ready for the next level.
Yeah, they do indeed. As Mar Marcus says, cornerbacks are an important topic for the Lions. Yes, they are indeed. We need to keep a close eye on all these guys. The final group, we've got Jabbar Muhammad from Oregon, a good year. Shavon Revel Jr. from East Carolina, the one whose season was cruelly cut short by an ACL injury, but he's still going to the draft. We've got Corey Thornton from Louisville, Justin Wally from Minnesota, another Golden Gopher, Isis Waxter from Villanova, and then we've got Noel Williams from Cal. Now, all eyes on Shavon Revel, right? That injury. How you doing? What's it done to you? Has it affected you too much? Like this is going to be big for him to prove his fitness for the draft and put something on tape for teams to see.
Well, he still gets mocked to the first in the first round in every mock I see. That tells you how
Mm.
good he is. I don't think I've seen him fall anywhere outside of like top 30, top 40. Despite, like I say, the fact is he might not make much impact as a rookie. Like I say, for me, if all goes well, he should be the best corner in the class. Like I say, he's big. What is he, 6'2"? Something like that. Like I
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
yeah,
he's a
huge
big
build.
guy.
Like you say, he's got a back pedal, he's got leverage, he cuts on a dime, he changes direction, he's physical, he's got hands. He's the dream. Honestly, sign Carlton Davis back for a year, draft Shavon Revel. I don't think I'd be upset.
No, no, I
I
agree
keep
with
seeing
you.
him going to the Green Bay because obviously they get rid of Jair Alexander. And it makes a lot of sense for a team that doesn't need a corner this year. He's a star. Like I said, then look, Noel Williams, 7 interceptions this year, one of the leaders in the entire country. He's been an absolute star for Cal. For me, probably fares better as a safety or a strong safety. That ball hawking skill tells me more of a centre fielder than a tackler. I think he's going to be more of a defensive back, but he looks really good. Justin Waller, he's been very sneaky good. He's been very important to what Minnesota's wanted to do this year. We've been a very good secondary for the Golden Gophers. He's definitely played his role this year. This group here, this little individual group, is extremely talented. These are the
Yeah,
names. These are the household names.
I mean, Jabbar Muhammad's the interesting one, right? So what, 3 years at
Former
Oklahoma
Washington.
State? Yeah, 3 years at Oklahoma State, 1 year at Washington where he won a natty, and 1 year at Oregon. But his build, he's 5'10",
He's
one hundred
small.
and
Yeah.
eighty-five pounds. He is an outside corner and an outside corner only. So I mean, his numbers are astounding at Oregon this year. He gave up 29 catches on 62 targets. That's
So physical.
46%. 10 pass breakups. In his last 2 years, he's got 22 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. He won the Natty last year. Hell, he's got sacks in his resume. His missed tackle rate was 8% this year, which is massively down on the rest of his career. how can you say no to a guy playing outside corner who's just been so great at his entire collegiate career? 5'10's tiny, but I watch him play and you see him play, and every time he's making a play, somebody's getting hurt. Like not in a bad way, but in a he's gonna let them know that he's their type. I mean, you always hope for these guys. Can they do it can he do it at the next level? You wouldn't put against him at 5'10 being able to put him out there and say, look, go do it, because the dude, he's successful. He knows he's won a natty. He's a winner, and he will not be told no.
Yep. He understands his body type. He understands how to play the game at his size and his height to not put himself at a disadvantage. He's learned to play the game his own way. Like I say, and also he blitzes. He's incredibly productive off the edge. Like I say, if you aren't keeping an eye on what he's doing, like I say, he's going to get sacks. You've got to pay attention to where he's lining up on the field. He's very much, he's got that Amik Robertson kind of bulldog in him. He's gritty, he's chippy, he's probably pretty mouthy as well, I imagine. Probably talks a lot of shit, but yeah, he backs it up in the best way possible. I think someone's going to reach really high for him purely out of level of production and the talent he's gone up against. Like I say, a winner, big schools, big receivers, nothing phases him.
I'd be interested to see if Amik had a similar college career. I don't know whether Amik played outside at college, but I would be willing to bet
I
that
think Amik went to, I think he might have gone to Louisiana Tech.
Oh, did he? Oh,
I
he's a
think
small
he,
school guy
I
as
think he
well.
was a bulldog.
Ooh, well, he might follow the career arc then, but I would not put against him. And he's had a wonderful season at Oregon. So yeah, there are some big names here to be had in the corner group. And then let's get into the safeties and finish
Yep,
this off
LA Tech.
because LA Tech, there you go, Louisiana Tech. Bloody hell, playing the CUSA. That's mad.
He had
Um,
4 sacks in career as well and 10 interceptions. He's identical. He was a sack getter from the corner spot.
Ooh, maybe. All right, we'll see. So yeah, Jabbar Mohammed, I'm really looking forward to seeing him. Right, let's get on to the safeties because we've been going nearly 3 hours. Wow. So the safeties, we've got Elijah Clark from Syracuse, R.J. Mickens from Clemson, Glendon Miller from Maryland, Shiloh Sanders from Colorado, Marquez Siegel from Kansas State, Cameron Silman Craig from Colorado, Shamari Simmons from Arizona State, Mike Smith Jr. from Eastern Kentucky, and Craig Woodson from Cal. Few names I know you like in here, so I'll let you go off at this to start with. Who do you want to start with at safety?
There's a lot of guys. I like RJ Mickens. Like I
I
say,
thought that might be one of the first names out of
he's done a
there.
great job because like I say, he's had to fill a big hole losing Andrew Makuba. Like I say, he was his running mate. Like I say, this year 76 tackles. That's nearly 30 more than any year that before that. That tells you how much he's taken on this year. He's still got 2 interceptions and a career high in 7 passes defended. He's had to play for 2 guys nearly. Like I say, he's been all over the field. Like I say, he's strong. He's a good tackler. He's got a good size. Like I say, he's got versatility. He can rotate where needs be. Very experienced. Like I say, a winning program. Like I say, he's very trusted. Like I say, he should be a guy that can come in and packages as a rotational guy at the next level.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I do like him. He's a 4 year starter there as well, so vastly experienced in this Clemson system. Shamari Simmons, obviously he's an Arizona State guy. What would you make of his draft prospects?
A lot of guys like him. 4 forced fumbles this year. He's a thumper. We all saw the ejection. He plays the game at one speed. It's physical. He will get penalties. I've no doubt about it, but he will make big plays. Like you say, he's strong, 6 foot, 200 pounds. He's well built. Like I say, 150 tackles at Arizona State, 10 passes defended. Like I say, some sacks, some interceptions, some forced fumbles. Does it all. Like I say, huge loss in the first half out Texas. They needed him there. Like I say, obviously because of his own. Like I said, the thing he wasn't there. Like I say, because the ejection. Like I say, that'll always probably haunt him. But a guy that shouldn't be overlooked at the next level. He could be a decent late round draft pick, I think.
Yeah, I think you've got possibly there, absolutely. We've got the small school guy. We got Mike Smith Jr. out of Eastern Kentucky. He's 6'1", 206, elite run defender, but took a massive step forward in coverage this year as well. 4 interceptions and 3 pass breakups. He's actually got half a dozen interceptions, 7 pass breakups in the last 2 years, 3 forced fumbles, about 130 tackles. His missed tackle rating's about at the 6% mark as well. Does not blitz at all or anything for that, but if you're looking for a thumping fridge, at safety, Mike Smith Jr. is in there as well. I mean, we've got the Golden Boy's son in there. We got the Colorado
We've
pairing. I
got the
mean,
Golden Boy's son, and then we've got the better Colorado safety.
we got Silman Craig in there.
He's very productive, and he's gone under the radar.
Yeah,
He's
because
had two
probably
stellar
he's
years.
been. Yeah, so Cameron Silman Craig, he's smaller, 5'10", 185, but you don't get on his bad side. So he's done exactly the same career arc as Shador. So 2 years at Jackson State, 2 years at Colorado. I mean, he's got 8 sacks in his career, so very much a guy who they like to use and bring him up to blitz. He's got nearly 300 career tackles. He's got 9 interceptions, 9 pass breakups. He's actually very good in coverage for a safety. But you're right, he's probably like Shiloh. Shiloh shouldn't really get picked, I don't think. I don't feel like there's an NFL player in Shiloh. He's got to be a UDFA, right? But
Oh,
Silman
no chance.
Craig will get drafted.
There's no chance he should be getting picked. I've not seen anything to convince me that he's worthy of a draft pick.
Yeah. I mean, outside of this, obviously you've got Elijah Clark out of Syracuse. The Syracuse DBs that have been coming out recent years have been good quality. Glendon Miller, one of the ones I don't know as much about there. But then Cal, we talk about the guys from Cal this year and the turnover rating they've had one of the best secondaries in the country
Yeah,
in terms of taking
taking the ball
the
away has been
ball
elite this
away.
year.
And obviously you need the safeties behind that to make that possible. But he's 6 foot 210, absolutely stellar tackler. So he's had 3 main years as a starter there. He's always been an elite graded run defender throughout his entire career. So you want a safety who blocks against the run, then you go for Craig Woodson there. But he's another whose production through the air is getting there. 5 interceptions, 12 pass breakups. He's been part of the group that's feasted this year. Nearly 90 tackles this year. He's missed tackling at just 8% as well. There's a lot of good technically gifted safeties in this group here that have not maybe got the appreciation that they should do. So certainly some big safety names to look out for there. And then to finish off everything, it's been going a while. We've got the specialists for this game because we don't forget the specialists. The kickers, you've got Ben Sauls out of Pittsburgh, and you've got Andre Borregales out of Miami. The punters, you've got Luke Elzinga from Oklahoma and Kai Krieger from South Carolina. And then for the long snappers, and hopefully Matt's listening because he's waiting to shut the show down, we've got Brent Matashik from TCU, and then we've got Josh from the Colorado School of Mines. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name because I will butcher it to holy hell. So that is your Shrine Ball roster. These sometimes take a while, but hopefully you feel a little bit more informed on some of these guys now, and there's some guys you're going to be watching out for during the game. I think just to finish this, right, the overall look at the roster, like I've got a lot of excitement about it again this year. Every year we come into this and there's like this guys you find who you've not seen before, you're excited about, but I think there's a lot of guys in here who we know are good that others maybe have not found out about yet, and they soon will.
Yeah, a lot of talent here. Like I say, there's some interest. Say some really high strength groups here. Like I said, the linebacker group feels good. The wide receivers is stacked with talent. There's a lot of really good stuff here. Like I say, there's a lot of guys out there, and uh, the small school guys. Every position is kind of littered with a few of them that you've either not heard of, or you don't know where they've been, or you wouldn't know where to find anything about them. And they've all got a chance to make them. So, like I say, go up against some of the best talent in the country and make a name for themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, the quarterbacks I'm looking forward to seeing. There are some in the receivers. Certainly the offensive line. Like there's the offensive line's a treasure trove to be had, and if you're a Lions fan looking for offensive line this year, especially maybe guys who you can develop into top level starters, this is the place to be. And then the linebackers, I just want to see Jackson Woodard play. I want to see people get excited about Jackson Woodard. I would draft him in a heartbeat. So yeah, that is everything from us today. Thank you to everyone who's been in the building. Brent goes, I agree with Ryan. Carlton Davis back for one more year. He was a force in our secondary. Do the guys there? Yeah, I would assume that's the way they will go there. Marmarka goes, thanks. That was lots of work for you guys. Appreciate it. New names to follow. Good. That is what we're here for. We're here to get the names out into the sphere so you can start looking at them. And if there's any that really impress you, as I say again, we'll deep dive them for you even further. We do not mind doing that, especially to all you loyal cluster of guys who are in here every single week. In terms of next shows coming up, obviously we're in the off season now for the Lions stuff, so we're back to one show a week. So it'll be Monday. We'll be back. I'm not entirely sure what we're doing yet. I think we're putting up the nominations for our end of season awards. So we want your guys' input as well. If there's any awards you want us to do, then just let us know and we'll put them in there and we'll be announcing the nominees and everything. And we do some fan votes as well. So we need you to get involved with that. Me and Ryan will be back next week. Obviously, we will debrief the Shrine Bowl and then we'll take a look at the Senior Bowl roster as well, because the Senior Bowl is around the same time. So we like to give more love to the Shrine Bowl because these are the lesser heard of guys everybody knows about who's going to the Senior Bowl. But we will give it his love next week. And then, of course, after that, in a couple of weeks, we'll do the HBCU Legacy Bowl as well. And then just lots of other draft things aside from that. So that's where you'll find me and Rye. Don't forget, you can find us Roar of the Lions UK all over the internet. Just type it in, you will find us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share all this stuff. It really does help us. We really appreciate you all. Matt is in the building, so we are going to get out of here. Appreciate you, Marmarker. Appreciate you, Brent, Grandizer, everyone who's been in. Have a lovely evening. Just ignore anything Detroit Lions related. Pretend all these coaches aren't leaving. Let's just get in a happy bubble away from it all and enjoy ourselves for a little bit. Take care. One pride.
Recording stopped.